Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexi Odds here. It's Tuesday, and it is finally game day once again. The Raptors playing two games today, both levels, 9:05 and Raptors playing Denver teams. The Grand Rapids Gold at 7:30 in Grand Rapids, and then of course the Denver Nuggets here in Toronto, 7:30 Scotiabank Arena. We're back home, baby. And it sounded like in the practice interviews yesterday that the team's very happy to be back home right now, specifically Pascal Siakam. Very, very open interview by Pascal yesterday about his struggles right now and how he's been low energy. He's been feeling bad energy lately and just been worn out. And like the losing is getting to him and has made him a little bit harder for him to get up and get going at times. He is really worn down from the season, from the unsuccessfulness of the season and all kinds of different things. So Pascal yesterday in his interviews talking about how it was nice to sleep in his own bed this weekend and get recharged. And he did look, if we're gauging him from these interviews and how he looked, and there was one earlier this month where he looked absolutely pitiful as far as he looked sick and he looked like a very low energy. He looked better yesterday. Let's just put it that way. He seems like he's a little bit more vibrant and energetic. So hopefully he can tackle things with a little bit more effort and ways that will be successful. Lots of interesting interviews yesterday. Nick Nurse also talking to the press, talking a lot about roles on this team, Cool Cat, just so you know. I think maybe he hears a lot of the noise that goes on around Raptors Nation with what we're talking about, the topic du jour. And, well, he likes to answer some of the questions indirectly, if not directly, from the reporters about role definition. And he was talking about Precious, talking about Dalano, talking about Koloko, Will Barton, different people like that, and like the bench and getting more production out of the bench. So it's nice to hear that Nick is talking about the subjects that everybody really worried. He really did kind of delineate and talk about why he does the things he does with the bench yesterday. It's very interesting. He really is like putting that carrot out in front of them to dangle. Like, you will get more minutes if you play better within your time. And he said that it's your choice. If you don't play well enough, well, you just get 4 minutes for the game. But if you play well enough, you can get 15 to 20 minutes in the game. So he did a lot of clarifying of things. Like, he clarified, first of all, let's go with each one. He clarified that he would like to use Koloko as the backup center now that he's returned back to the main roster. He considers him the backup to Pirtle. So we may start seeing Koloko get minutes starting tonight on the main roster as a backup center role. And I don't know what that means for minutes. That could mean 10, anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. Who knows? Depending on whether Koloko can stay out of foul trouble. And because also he said, listen, he said this in the recent weeks, you know, at some point he gave up on Chris Boucher playing center, and rightfully so. Well, more recently, he said Thad shouldn't be playing center, and that's very rightfully so also. Well, he said yesterday he doesn't want Precious playing center anymore either, that he really does feel that Precious's natural position is not in the 5, and that when you play him at the 5, you can do that, but it's not really using him at his ultimate skills, and it kind of holds him back in some ways because he has to, once again, just like OG and Pascal have had to do in the past, they have to guard a center at a smaller size, a guy bigger than them. That takes away a lot of energy for all kinds of other things on the court. So he wants to stay away from playing Precious at center at this point also. And that he really does want to use Jakob and Koloko interchangeably as the center for our team. Now, that doesn't mean he won't go small sometimes still and maybe play Precious at the 5. Because honestly, out of all our guys, you know, our center depth really is Jakob, Koloko, and then Precious right now. He still is like our third center. Yeah, but I like hearing that Koloko is going to get more of that time eaten up. He touched on Will Barton's role, and he also touched on Dalano and Jeff Dowtin Jr., all explanations for kind of how he sees that whole landscape with those backup guards off the bench. He does consider Dalano a backup point guard and will like to use him more in that role on the main roster. Jeff Dowtin Jr. is not back with the Raptors main roster and will be playing in the 905 game tonight because he only has 7 games left eligible on his two-way contract to play on the main roster with the Raptors. And Nick would like to save those games for, I guess, the stretch run, or just in case, as he put it, injury. So just in case something happens where he needs them. So Jeff's going to be at 905, at least for the time being. But he does have 7 games eligible at the main roster still, and we should see him get switched there. He really does look also at Will Barton as a backup point guard, and he's been very happy with how quickly he's assimilating to our team as far as learning everything with what's going on. He's a very intelligent player, knows stuff and learns it quick. And he's also already showing a very much a leadership role with that bench unit, as far as like telling them they need to be better. And like he's been kind of lighting a fire on their butts in a way that Nick Nurse really likes. Like Will Barton is not shy about being a leader to the bench unit, is basically what Nick was saying yesterday. So he was trying to clear up a lot of different things about the team and what's going on with personnel and what their roles are. So that's good. He's starting to strive towards more ideas of like, this is your role and this is what you do, instead of just an amalgamous blob of your versatile 6'9" people that can do whatever and do it all at any time on the court. So I like that. I like that Nick's finally doing this. And some people would say, well, what we're at this point in the season, you're doing this now. Well, I think that he didn't it's not that he didn't want to. It's just that the scheme that he had and the way he was doing things was kind of like versatile and allowing for anybody to come in and plug holes and do different jobs that need to be done. Well, now I think he's starting to understand that you don't get everything done if you don't have it like on the list for each person, what they have to do and what is important. So that's good. Dalano's interview was fantastic also. That young man is being an ultimate professional. The reporters kept talking to him like, well, how do you feel about being at 905 more this season than you were last season? And Dalano's like, you know, I don't look at this as a demotion. I don't look at this as anything bad. This is something that's very good for me, and I'm very thankful, and I'm glad for the privilege to go and play for the Raptors 905, and all the games and the reps that I get down there are very, very good. He's been so awesome. Such great answers by Dalano about his development and his time on 905 this year. You know, he said all the right things. One of the most important things Dalano Banton said yesterday in his interview was that he wants to have longevity as a player in the NBA. And, well, he wants to do the things that are asked of him by his franchise and his team to ensure that. And having guys like Thad Young and other pros, longer veterans on the team with him can teach him and tell him the trade tricks to stay in the league longer. And that's not to cause waves. Do what you're told and do the best you can, and to develop and get better and better every single day. And Delano's all about that. They brought up Canada, Team Canada this summer. Will you be playing for Canada? And he said, of course. I'm always there for Canada. I always will be for the rest of my life. Canada is my country. But y'all don't get ahead of yourself. I ain't thinking about playing for Team Canada or doing nothing like that, because we got a season still to play right now. And my main focus is being healthy and trying to get ready for the next game. And hopefully my name will be called. But if it isn't, I have to be ready when it is ready to be playing. Now, on that note, let me just say, Dalano is on our injury list right now. He is day-to-day. It is still his thumb. So we'll see. He is with the main Raptors tonight here in Toronto against Denver. But hopefully maybe he's healthy enough to play after all tonight. But he is the only one on our injury list. Otto Porter Jr., of course, also listed. But Dalano is day-to-day with his thumb. So we'll see if he's healthy enough to play tonight or not. Denver's actually got a slate of injuries. Like we talked about this yesterday, that since Scott Foster robbed us in that game, well, something wrong has gone for the Nuggets, because they've lost every single game since they played us, including a game to San Antonio, a game to they've been losing to some teams that aren't the best teams in the league. Chicago, San Antonio, and Brooklyn have beaten them since we saw them last week. So they are on a 3-game losing streak. And they're also starting to show some injuries right now. And the most interesting one, of course, is the one Monique was talking about on the Facebook chat yesterday. Jamal Murray is day to day, but he's actually not even day to day. He's actually questionable for today with his knee. I don't know what's up with that. We'll have to see if Jamal plays or not. Obviously, they're much better if Jamal Murray's playing, but it could very well be that he is not playing tonight for the Nuggets. I don't know if that's some sort of weird, like maybe he feels sorry about how Scott Foster robbed us and gave them a win. He's like, you know what? I'm going to sit out because my guy, Nick Nurse, he's my dude, Team Canada coach, and I don't like what happened. But I don't know. Also, it seems like he would want to get out there and play in front of a Canadian crowd, Mr. Canada, Jamal Murray, especially if he has friends and family from around the Toronto area that want to come see him play. So, I don't know how to gauge this. It's looking like Jamal may not play, but I bet you he really does want to play just to have, time to play in front of people he cares about. Reggie Jackson is also on the injury list at this point. So it's really like their first 2 point guards may not be playing tonight. He is also day-to-day. I'm not even sure what his injury is. And then otherwise, Colin Gillespie is out with his lower leg injury. And Zeke Naji is still out. He's been out for a while. He'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So there are some injuries for the Nuggets. We'll see which one of their point guards or both their point guards show up tonight or not. So, yeah, there's your injury report for tonight. Let me check in with y'all in the comments, see what y'all are saying on this game day. We got a doubleheader, baby. Get ready for the games, baby. Yeah, we got Denver twice, 2 times. Let's beat them on both levels. Cool Cat is here first. Good morning, Raptor Free crew. I think the front office coaches, Nick Nurse, are listening to what fans are saying on social media. Everything we said, they eventually say or do. It's like we convince them over time. It's really weird. Is this hive mind, brain trust of the fans and the people like me that are creating content, and then like other people like that are writing on Twitter, people that are, there's all kinds of different people. There are all kinds of little chatter here and there. Yeah, I think it'd be smart for them to put their ear to the ground and kind of listen to the topic du jour as far as the fan nation and see what they're thinking. Because in some ways, listen, an outside perspective can be found. I look at the game with my eyes. I may see things that some other people don't see. It may be that, when you're in the middle of it as a coach or a player, it's hard to understand the whole around the whole thing. You're really involved with your part, and maybe you can't see everything about what's going on. And maybe sometimes that perception from the outside is very valuable to people in the middle of it, because they're able to kind of like, oh, wow, okay, I didn't even realize that, or something like that. That is really smart and good. And it's part of the reason why we do the Thursday Think Tank format, is because we really do want to kind of combine our intelligence and our thoughts and feelings and things that we're thinking about with the game. And hopefully we come with some pertinent information or useful information for them to look at or think about. I think you're right, Cool Cat. In some ways, we have a duty to be looking out for them in an honest, fair way, so that we can actually really help them. And that's what we want. That's actually really, really what we want. Now, there's a lot of crazy noise out there and all kinds of stuff. I looked on Twitter, and it looks like two people that we talk about on this channel may be feuding at this point, that Chev knows about. He who shall not be named at this point, apparently, and he's going after him, apparently. So that's some of the news that I saw this morning on Twitter, that said some of Chev heads are going crazy because he's roasting idiot right now all over the place. So check that out if you are interested. I think Chev has gone after Pensair. So, yeah, Tom Duke is saying, good morning. Let's get this W today. Barton's addition seems like one of Nick's trusted role players. I really, really want to see more from Will as we go. Obviously, we're playing his old team again, the Nuggets, and he didn't have a very good game against them in the first game in Denver. So hopefully Will can step up and show something against them in this game. I really do hope that the Raptors have an extra get up and go for this game tonight. That in some ways they got to feel like they want to rectify a wrong. That's really what I want their energy to come in there. It's kind of like, look, we've had an injustice done to us. We've had some, we know we've been slighted. We know that we got treated poorly. We know that we got wronged. So we want to come back and right this wrong. We want to come out there and kick the shit out of the Nuggets on our home court. We want our home fans to come in and give us some good energy, buoy our spirits after a rough road trip. And then it's time to get back on the winning side of things here in Toronto at the 416. And that's what I'm saying. Oh, there's some loud dump trucks outside. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Will Barton hopefully can have a good contribution today. Good morning, Tom Duke. Always good to see you. Lumpy Rex is here. It's been a bit. Good to see an original Raptor freak from the beginning of the channel. Lumpy Rex 007. I don't care if they win or lose, as long as they don't hang their heads after the game. I want them to lay it all out there and leave no doubt. Go Raps. You go, Lumpy Rex. I like that attitude. I like that attitude. In some ways, you know, I've been worried about Pascal holding his head and seeming low energy and maybe getting too much in his head and sad and stuff like that. His interview was weird yesterday. He was really kind of admitting that he's been like really in his head, that he's having a hard time seeing positives. And he's just really caught up in a lot of negativity. And it may be, you know, the critiques of his game, him not playing as well. Maybe he's beating himself up himself in his own head. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm not making any of these shots. And then he's like, and this team sucks. And I'm supposed to be the leader. And this, you know, it can spiral out of control. Sometimes you really got to watch out the narratives you're writing for yourself and your life and the stories that you say, because you can make your life way worse and ruin potential for things to happen just because of your outlook. So I really like what Lumpy's saying. Let's have some pride, guys. Let's go out there and lay it all on the court so we know without a doubt that we did every single thing we could do to win the game. And, you know, hopefully it will mean a win by the end of it. You know, Nick was very, very cool in his interview yesterday. And in fact, I'm really glad he said all this. And this is something the Raptors Nation really does need to listen to. That he said, our guys have played really, really good most of this year. They've played hard. They've played fantastic. They've done perfect things for good chunks of time. It's just that they haven't done it the whole time. He said, in fact, I think they played really great for 88% of the time. It's just that there's that window where they don't play just enough, or they play horrible. And then, boom, it ruins all the great work that they do for a good whole chunk of the game. That he said, listen, I can have them play at a really, really high optimal level, like you see, where they're absolutely killing it. And then there's at some point they play like absolute dog shit. And they ruin all the good work that they've done in the game because the other team just piles on points in that little stretch of time where they're not playing any defense at all. And that what he wants from the team is you cannot be way below average, like with your effort. You have to keep at least average effort the whole entire game, if not above average, really good high effort, like I demand of you for the most part. That's what he's trying to tell his team. And well, you know, Nick, you've got to make sure you put these lineups out there where there's no drop off in talent or effort to keep that level up. And one of the things that hopefully you've heard us saying is that you cannot sub a whole line in and out for your bench. You really, really got to keep at least two of your starters in the game at all times. That it's just you lose too much, and some of the congruency and the way things are flowing with your starters. When you bring in so many guys off the bench all at once, it's just not meeting or matching up with the level. So you need to keep it a little closer by keeping at least Pascal and Scotty out there with those guys, or Fred and OG out there with those guys. You just need those safety helper guys. So I love that Nick said this, and he wants this everybody to hear this. These guys have played their asses off this season. They busted their ass, and they don't have a whole lot to show for it because of lapses of judgment and lapses of good play for periods of time that destroy all the good stuff they did. You look at the Denver game last week, and you know that that game was 99% or 98% of it was played exactly right by the Raptors. And it wasn't until Scott Foster stole the fucking game from us. But does that discount all the effort and the really good play that they did against the Nuggets last week? Well, it doesn't show up in the records. But honestly, if you know and you remember and you saw that, you know this team's worked hard and played very well. Well, there's a lot of this. This happens in the Lakers game. This happened in the Clippers game. This happened in a lot of losses that we've had this year that would have added up to being wins if we had kept the consistent effort throughout the whole 48 minutes. So that was one of the main points that Nick wanted to make yesterday, is he's proud of his team, that he knows that they've worked really, really hard and played really good basketball for most of this season. It's just the results haven't added up to that, because the really, really bad basketball, those periods have absolutely destroyed us and hurt us and made us lose games. So I want this, what Lumpy's saying, because we want a consistent, good, at least average or way above average effort for the whole 48 minutes, all 4 quarters, 12 minutes 4 times. Because that is the biggest problem we're having, is that lapse of judgment, that lapse of intensity, that lapse of going all out and playing good in that moment has absolutely killed us, because these teams have racked up like 20 points in like 2 minutes on us, and they destroy any kind of good defense and things that we've been doing in the game. Space Cadet saying, he who shall not be named made a video making fun of the Raptors and also took shots at Matt Devlin and Jack Armstrong. He then called Chev a dollar store Stephen A. Smith. Now he's losing subscribers. Good, good. Well, he's showing his true colors then. We knew he never, I knew he never really was a Raptors fan. Like, if you're a Raptors fan, you don't come after Matt and Jack. I'm sorry. There's things about them that are just institutionalized parts of our team. And he's really showing his true colors. This is what y'all got to really like know in your nose. You know who's real ones, who've got a real heart and a real passion for the team, and who are the fucking people that are just trying to capitalize on it. Well, his true colors are coming out at this point. And I think it's hilarious that, like, even at one of our worst and lowest moments of the season, that he's coming apart. And it really, I think a lot of it is, the thing that started it is Fred's popularity from his press conference last week. That had to drive him crazy, because in some ways now, not only are Raptors fans like, Fred's our dude, he's our GOAT, he's our favorite, oh my gosh, Fred, thank you. The rest of the league and other people on other fan nations are gaining more respect and love for Fred. That has to make that motherfucker's head explode. So this is so good. I love hearing this, Space Cadet. Thanks for reporting back. So this is what he did. He came after Chev and called him a dollar store Stephen A. Smith. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I wish he'd call some shit about me. Some goofy ass old motherfucker rapping freak. Yeah, talk some shit about me too. Pensair. Yeah, you idiot. Yeah, this is good. Unsubscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe. That's what's happening. Isaac's here. Good to see Isaac Campbell, the benevolent Isaac Campbell. Yes, lots of fighting in the NBA in the last 2 weeks. I'm a pacifist, but maybe the players realize they can get ejected for a few words now, so they figure they may as well drop the gloves. It's weird, the fighting and the contact. There's some really weird contact, like rubbing their faces against each other and choking. And you know, some of the ladies of Twitter are really into it. They're like really thinking that like some of these scenes with people are like sexual in a way. Like that Luka and Devin Booker face off was very like weird with their expressions, and they're like, get how close they're getting. And some of the pictures, if you looked at them without the context of what was happening, you'd be like, are these guys about to kiss or something like that? And then the Draymond and Dylan thing with the rubbing the ball over the head. It's like, let me give you some ball massage on your head there, Dylan. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Draymond. What a great guy. Yeah, you know we really like each other. Rub the ball on your head, on your head. And then they had the Zach Collins fight where there was choking. There was very much choking going on. You know, there is a lot of fracas going on around the league right now. But you know what I think it is? I think it's because everything is so frustrating and close this season. I think that, you know, once again, as I said yesterday, as frustrated and as fucked up our team and our season has been, we're not the only ones. There's a lot of teams that feel a lot of frustration about not winning as much as they thought they would this year and being very mid like us. I went through the list. So I think that there's a lot of that is part of the reason why there's a lot of fighting, is that people have not gotten to the expectations of what they thought they would do with their team this season. And the guys are frustrated and they see the stretch run and there's a lot of pressure. And, you know, a lot of teams are in the play-in situations and stuff like that. It is a very high pressure NBA right now for a lot of different teams and players right now. And it's crazy. It's very crazy. Randolph's here. Good to see Randolph Phillips. Good morning, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang on this game day. A win will re-energize our team. Let's go Raptors. Yeah, we need this so bad. We need this get back so bad. In fact, this win tonight isn't just about winning. This is about healing. This is about getting some get back and making something right that was so wrong last week. And I'm a little worried. I'm going to tell you right now, they did send us some weird refs today. And I'm very, very worried that they're really going to try and send us a message with the refs tonight. But we'll see. I'll go ahead and do the refs right now. Our ref crew chief tonight is Tony Brothers. I'm like, really, like, why the fuck are we getting Tony Brothers again so soon? We just had him like a week or so ago. And I'm like wondering, you know, part of it is that, like, in some ways, we're a team that the NBA referees obviously have an interest in because of what Fred said last week. And then obviously I keep speculating because we keep getting such big name, experienced crew chiefs like Tony Brothers and Scott Foster's recently, that there's something weird about the NBA wanting to control our games to an extent. And I really hope that Tony coming in isn't a bad thing. Like I told you guys, I trust Tony Brothers to the extent that I know he will screw over whichever team doesn't work the hardest. So if we come out there and we bust our ass and we earn respect in his eyes, he will call the game in our favor. Plus, we're at home. That will be a helpful thing also with this thing with Tony. But I really want to trust him tonight, but I can't because I have no trust in the refs at this point. And I'm really, really worried that there's going to be some sort of weird shenanigans just because it's Tony Brothers. And that we had this thing happen with Scott Foster the last time we played Denver. And yeah, in some ways, I'm going to be really watching him, and hopefully he'll give me some more faith in the integrity of the NBA refs tonight by showing me a really fairly called down the line game that rewards the hardworking team that's busting their ass. I don't have a problem with Tony Brothers as long as he's doing that. I just don't want to see any funny stuff. And forgive me for worrying about the ref wanting to be the star in the game tonight, because Tony Brothers can be that kind of guy sometimes, and we don't need any of that kind of reffing right now. We need the refs to be like furniture and fade into the background. So, Tony, don't make it the Tony show tonight, because nobody wants to fucking see that. You heard Fred. Nobody's coming to see the refs. So we don't want to see no Tony Brothers show tonight. This ain't no late night show. You can have a little guest host, Gediminas, Petraitis. You know, this ain't gonna be the Tony Brothers show. Here's Tony. No, we don't want none of that late night TV show with fucking Tony Brothers. No, it's not your show. You were supposed to just ref. You just come in, make the calls, and we don't want to know that even remember that you're here. We just want you to come out there. And if you do a good job, well, we'll have some fried croakers for you. That's right. Tony Brothers is from Virginia, and his favorite meal is croakers. Fried croakers from the Mississippi River. You get those croakers out of there, and you fry them up real good and give them to Tony Brothers, Tom Duke. And then we got his favorite TV show is 24. His favorite movie is Claudine. He likes the band Earth, Wind, and Fire. Do you remember when it was time September? The favorite book is the Bible, of course. He would most like to visit Israel, and his hidden talent is cooking. So, Tony, please, Tony, please, limit your antics and just officiate. We don't want to see you get upset. We don't want to see you acting out. We don't want to see you getting more attention on yourself. Now, Tony does not favor us in this game at all, guys. This is a really bad crew for us statistically. Denver really does have the ref crew on its side tonight, which is unfortunate. We lost the last game that Tony Brothers refereed for us. We win 46% of the time when he is reffing, and meanwhile, the Nuggets win 59%. So there's your split on Tony Brothers, 46 to 59 for the Nuggets. So, yeah, he historically favors the Nuggets. Our second ref, as I alluded, is the co-host Gediminas Petraitis, his 9th season out of Lithuania. He now lives in Maryland and went to the College of Maryland. Let me see if I get this right with his pronunciation. They have it right here. It's Gediminas Petraitis. Gediminas Petraitis. Okay, Gediminas Petraitis. Okay, I want to say that right. Gediminas Petraitis. All right, that's how you say it. I always say it wrong. His favorite TV show is that one about that drug lord down in South America that had hippos, Narcos. His favorite movie is that one with Eddie Murphy, and he comes to work for John Amos at McDowell's, and they have the Soul Glow happen, Coming to America. His favorite musician is the Swedish House Mafia. His favorite book is The Great Gatsby. His favorite app is Peloton. He most like to visit Iceland. His bucket list is to cycle in the French Alps, and his hidden talent is ballroom dancing. His meal is ceppeline. That's what he wants. He wants ceppeline. So we want croakers and ceppeline for the food so far. Giamidis' father, Viamontes, officiated college basketball games himself. Now, Giamidis enjoys traveling and occasionally dusting off and playing his accordion, y'all. He is an accordion player. He became a U.S. citizen in 2015. Now, our record with Giamidis is the best. He's the only ref on the crew that favors us. We did lose the last game that he ref for us, but we win 64% of the time when he's present at the game. Meanwhile, the Nuggets win 47%. So 64-47 for the Raptors on the second ref, Giamidis Petraitis. The third ref is Ashley Moyer-Gleich. This is her 6th season out of Lebanon, Pennsylvania. She is a big fan of Grey's Anatomy. She likes the movie Face Off. Her favorite musician is You Want to Be Starting Something, Got to Be Starting Something. Says you want to be starting something, got to be starting something. Michael Jackson. Her favorite book is Charlotte's Web. I don't ever hear about that book anymore, about that pig and that spider. Her favorite app is Yelp. She must like to visit Africa. Her hidden talent is double Dutch. So she does that skip rope. And bucket list is to see the 7 wonders of the world. She would like some Spanish food tonight. So we've got fried croakers, cella panini, and Spanish food for the refs for tonight. Ashley Moyer-Gleich played basketball at Millersville University in Pennsylvania. She competed in the Sweet 16 of the 2010 Division II NCAA tournament. So she is a player herself, Ashley. Now, her record with us is not that good, guys. In fact, she's the worst ref for us today. We win 38% of the time when she refs, and we lost the last game that she refed. And meanwhile, the Nuggets win 2 out of 3 games. They're 67% with her. So the split is 38-67 for the Nuggets with Ashley Moyer-Gleich. So there you go. We got 3 refs. 2 of them are favoring the Nuggets, and one of them is our friend, the one from Lithuania. So yeah, Tony Brothers, please don't make this your show. This isn't your show, bro. Don't be like Scott Foster. Don't be like Ben Taylor. We don't want you to be a part of the show. We want you to ref the game, do a good job, do all that kind of stuff that you're supposed to do. And the less we understand or remember that you are reffing the game, the better. That is going to be the whole thing. We don't want to remember that it is that Tony Brothers is the crew chief. So yeah, it's a little bit of a wearisome crew, just so you know. But Tony, it'll go the way Tony goes, really, honestly. I am happy that Giamidis is going to be here, though, because he is a ref that really has been very fair and kind to us. So hopefully that'll continue. We'll have to see. Mike is here, logical Raptors fanatic in the house. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. Logical Raptors fanatic. Check out his YouTube channel. As always, now and more than ever. That's what I'm saying. Cook up something real special for this weekend. Oh, he's cooking up something special this weekend. Okay. Respect to the real ones in Raptor Freak Nation. My Will Barton video is doing well. Now it's time to W. All right. That's right, Mike. We need the W bad. We need it real bad, because when I'm looking at the standings right now, we got the Bulls breathing down our necks, a half game behind us. With we're 17 games behind the leading Milwaukee Bucks. The Bulls are 17.5 games, and then you got the Wizards 18 games back, and then you got the Pacers 18.5 games back. It's all jammed up. And the closer we can get to the Atlanta Hawks, that's always good. You know, there was some losing that happened last night in the association last night. We had the Hawks losing to the Minnesota Timberwolves. We saw the Detroit Pistons and Coach Casey beat the Pacers. Utah couldn't take care of the job against the Miami Heat. In fact, Kyle Lowry came back to the lineup for the Heat last night, and he came off the bench. And they actually played really well with him off the bench with Victor Oladipo next to him. So Miami may be getting it together a little bit after that one little crazy thing with Jimmy Butler leaving the court too early and them getting a tech. Boston lost last night to the Houston Rockets. And this is a very interesting story coming out of Celtics Nation. Apparently, Damon Stoudamire has accepted the head coaching job at Georgia Tech, and he will be leaving the Celtics. I think he might be leaving right away and just leaving them high and dry. And some people this morning are saying that part of the reason why the Celtics lost to the Rockets last night is because Stoudamire left. That in some ways, Joe Mazzulla, his coaching this year has been really bolstered and helped and supported by our #1 rookie of the year, the first year, our expansion guy, Mighty Mouse. And that Damon leaving the brain trust of the Boston Celtics at this point in this season may be very bad for Celtics Nation. Some people are very worried about his departure and how this is going to affect their fortunes. Well, they just lost to one of the worst teams in the league last night on the day of this announcement. So very, very interesting stuff with that. Of course, Milwaukee taking care of business in Sacramento, beating a very tough Sacramento team on their home court. The Bucks really do look nasty. And with their recent additions of Jay Crowder and Goran Dragic and a couple other guys, they look like they have a very complete team. In fact, Celtics Nation's been very mad at different people like the Bulls for letting Goran Dragic go and letting him go to their team to help their depth and their experience and their veteran stuff get so good. Jay Crowder being there is a very big deal too. So the Bucks are dangerous. We're going to see them again. And it'll be really crazy. Like, we'll see how it all shakes down. If we play them in the first round, it's going to be a battle. They're a very, very deep team at this point with all the guys they just acquired. So, yeah, there you go. Nako's here. Good to see Nako the Nacho. Shout out to Alex Wong, who referenced his HIG maintenance. Real good show about a weed dealer. I think some move is happening in the offseason. What? Gerald, I don't even understand what you're talking about. Who referenced HIG maintenance? HIG? I don't even know what that is, bro. Real good show about a weed dealer. What are they talking about on the Raptors show these days with the weed dealer? I saw they have a bingo card for the rest of the season. It's got all kinds of goofy categories on it or something like that. But, okay. You think some move is happening in the offseason? I do not totally understand what you're saying, Gerald. But, I'll figure it out. Cool Cat saying, I'm going to the game tonight, prepared to cheer loudly for us to get the W. Guess we complained so much about role and responsibilities that we're getting our answers. DB understands the process. Delano Banton, yeah, he does. He's very mature and wise for what's going on with him. And I think he's smart because, honestly, you're getting developed right, Delano. That 905 stuff really is valuable. And, in fact, we're going to learn really fast, maybe even tonight, just how improved Koloko is just from his little bit of time in 905 the last couple months. You guys might be shocked to see just how much more competent he's playing with less mistakes just because of so many games at 905 recently with so many minutes. I really want people to seriously pay attention to this. When you see Christian play in the game tonight, hopefully, look for a difference in his competency and his confidence. He's going to come out there with a lot more confidence, and he'll be more effective just because of all the time at 905. I really, really am going to predict this right now. And you guys will remember that I said this right now, that you're going to see a different Christian Koloko when he comes out and plays for us on the main roster the next time. Watch. Let's see. Callie saying Pascal's press conference was interesting. He really talked about the joy for the game. Hope to see him re-energized. It was really interesting. One thing he was talking about was protecting that joy because that joy is him. And he's realizing that if he snuffs that out or has a problem with it, that he loses himself. It's a really identity thing, like him getting up and working out every day and doing the things he does. And honestly, when he expressed how he feels like he wants to do so much more, and then he knows that he wants to squeeze every little bit of ability out of his body, is what he said, that he wants to get every little bit of what he can do on the court. Well, Siakam, the next part is to do that clutch thing, is to really, really become a surgeon and carve them up when you want to. You can carve them up. We've seen you surgically take defenses apart and make amazing layups and spins and stuff like that. Well, what we need you to do now is do it with a purpose when you want to do it. That's what I'm saying. You need to use your scalpel when the time is right at the end of the game, when you need to cut through everything and get those baskets for us. You need to do it and be successful. And a lot of the advice that's come out for you from people like Jack Armstrong and different people these days is basically this: don't depend on the contact and getting the line. The refs will not show you any respect. In fact, you said in your interview yesterday, I don't understand why I'm not getting the line recently. I don't know what is going on with me. He was getting to the line a lot earlier this season, but now they're not getting him to the line for different reasons. You can't depend on the refs to put you on the line. What you've got to do to get to the next level, Siakam, is to start making the shots regardless. You just need to make shots. Who cares? You can't have any rimming out. You can't be like, oh, got hit, and I'm and one, or yelling, I got fouled, and trying to get the line. No, you can't depend on that anymore. You can't depend on the refs. You just got to score. You just got to fill it up. You got to put that ball in the hoop no matter what. And one of the things I would say is, like, first of all, you could always get better at finishing through contact, sure, but you've been working on that and doing that so well for years with different results. But what you need to do is really mix it up, is to start looking for other people. And in some ways, this is something that everybody's talking about around the Raptors right now, is sharing the ball, being unselfish, and looking for other people. And now you may need to like kind of weigh more on that side of things. And, you know, you'll still go up and take your shots from time to time. But maybe nowadays, maybe you need to do 2 out of 3 times you pass it and 1 out of 3 times you shoot it, or something like that, just to get more practice of that. Because in some ways, if you really want to elevate your game and get even better from where you are right now, you're kind of at a plateau. Well, you have to add this whole threat that you will pass out of the double team and be very effective at finding really good scores besides you. Because that may be one of your biggest Achilles heels, is Pascal, is that you try and force the ball through double and triple team too much. So you could really work on this summer, and this mentality of, all right, I recognize the double team coming. Well, I'm going to kill you with the pass, and boom, that's an easy shot for Gary on the outside. You've really got to get better at this. This is the way you get to the next level, is what I'm talking about right now. And it's something that Scotty more naturally is good at already. And he could maybe teach you a little bit about his court vision and how he keeps his head up and finds people out of the double and triple team coming. So that's what I want to see, Siakam. I know you want to get better and better and better. That's what you said yesterday. Well, this is how you got to do it. You got to get better by being more unselfish and adding that dimension. And then it'll kind of like, it's like an elastic. You'll stretch it out that way, but let it relax a little bit. And then boom, you can be more with your own shots later after they start. So, well, shit, he's going to pass it. They'll start dealing with you differently if you show pass more. And then boom, you can switch it back up and go back to you going after it and going in there and not passing it, because you're gonna have them guessing, is basically what I'm saying. So do it this way for a while, because it will expand your game and make you a more complete player. But also realize later down the road, you will be able to come back around to being the #1 guy. And then in some ways you will be much better, because the threat of you passing out of the double and triple team will be much greater, and they'll have to respect that. And that'll help you as a one-on-one isolation player later, after down the road. So, yeah, I love the interview. You know, in some ways I'm worried about him, because I see him get in his head too much. That he's got to, like, listen, you got to just do your thing. And you say you're a robot or you're a machine, you can't afford to be tired. In some ways, you've got to cut off those emotions too. And in some ways, you know, you do care about winning. You want to win. But some of the stuff that you may be going through right now, Siakam, may not be necessary or helpful. And that you may need to, like, look at it in a different perspective as far as, like, what's happening. You really do have to have a short memory in some ways. And if you're dwelling on things too much from the whole body of this whole season, just stop. There's only today. There's only right now, Siakam. And there's only the games tonight. You go out there and kick the Nuggets' ass, and everything will be fine and take care of itself. Don't get weighed down by what's already happened. Let's see. Blackhawk saying, I'm thinking of a win tonight. Go get them, Chev. Yeah, I want to win so bad tonight. We know that Michael Malone and the Nuggets will be trying to play up, because they've been on a slide recently. There's a lot of chatter about problems with the Nuggets for the playoffs. Obviously, Brian Winders wrote that article saying that he doesn't believe in them in the playoffs. And there's a lot more evidence that Jokic for being an MVP candidate and being such a top player in the league is a defensive liability. And that's the thing we got to focus on again. We very much made Jokic a problem for them because they didn't know how to handle him. And in some ways, we took him out of the game because of that. So we need to try and replicate that part of things. Now, some of the things we could do better this game is maybe keep track of Jamal Murray if he is going to be playing tonight, that we really do need to keep tabs on him and try and limit his scoring as best as we can. That is a tailor-made job for Mr. Anunoby. You know, Scott loves playing Jokic to a degree, and, you know, we're going to have to use him to double on him and stuff, but Jakob on Jokic is always good too. So we'll just see how we match up with them. In fact, you know, Denver is a really good team in certain ways, but in some ways we have their kryptonite. We're not the kind of team that they like to play. So hopefully we can kick their ass. No interference by the refs. Nako saying Penn State's Raptors Ben Shapiro. Yeah, that's pretty fair. That's a pretty fair thing to say right there. Yeah, he's ridiculous. He's honestly ridiculous. Put some money in the swear jar, Gerald. Logical saying great interviews from the team yesterday. Hang on, it jumped. Bah, it always jumps. Of course it jumped. From the team yesterday. Facts, Cool Cat, on Dalano Banton. Good luck to going down there. Good luck. Good luck at the game. We need this W for the vibes. The bench thing is what I've been trying to describe. Defensive energy is key. Yeah, well, we just need these guys to not have a letdown and things. It's like the starters play with a certain level of what they're doing, and then all of a sudden these guys come out and they're kind of duds. That's why I'm really more into, like, listen, Nick, I know you like to not sub until like 7 minutes into the game, but in some ways it may be in your favor to sub 4 minutes in the game, but only sub like one guy, and then maybe sub one guy every 2 minutes after that. Or two guys, bring in two guys, bring in the tag team, Precious and Chris, or Gary with one of them at the 4 minute mark, and really start staggering the bench into your starters earlier. And that way you can spread it all out, eat better, and like nice and evenly, as far as having starters mixed with the bench and never too many bench all at once out there. And that you can really do it better if you start staggering earlier. I know you like to play that unit nice long chunks, and sometimes you'll play them like the first 9 minutes of the game. I don't totally agree with that. I think that you could do better justice for your rotation and getting a nice consistent effort throughout the whole entire game if you do something like what I'm describing. And I know that you can still hit all your marks as far as I want my starters out there by 5 minutes to go in the game. I want these people at the beginning of the second. I want these people at the beginning of the third, at the beginning of the fourth. You know, you can still do all that kind of stuff, but always try to have at least 2 or 3 of the starters out there at any given time. You need Fred and OG out there, boom. You need Pascal and Scotty out there, boom. You just need some capable level of quality with maybe 2 or 3 of the bench guys at any given time. And that's it. Yeah. And really watch when you don't play Jakob. That in some ways, I'm a big believer in mirroring the big guy on the other side. That if Jokic is in, put Jakob in. If Jokic comes out, take him out, you know, and kind of like go back and forth that way. I really like mirroring the big guy because it just makes sense. If they don't have their biggest center out there, well, then take your biggest center out and put other people in, you know. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, nah, NBA Chef just laughing at who shall not be named because he is attacking everyone, including our Raptors announcers. Perhaps the person has something going on personally. We pray for him. She's being, you know, considerate and worrying about this guy, that maybe there is something wrong with him. You know, sometimes you got to wonder what passion drives people. Like, what is it? Are you just angry? Is somebody do you wrong somewhere at some point, bro? And that you just have an axe to grind, and that you're putting all this energy into your little channel that going after Fred. You know, I don't know. I really appreciate your humanitarian approach to this, Cool Cat. This may be right. Who hurt you, bro? Who hurt you, man? Was it Fred? Did Fred hurt you? Fred hurt you, obviously. Nako's saying biggest disappointment is probably the Bulls, not DeMar's fault. You know, I feel bad for the Bulls, and I saw how upset DeMar was the last time we beat them. Yeah, I mean, they're not the biggest disappointment. If you ask me, the Lakers are always the biggest disappointment considering they have LeBron James and they should be doing certain things, especially when they have Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and I don't care, Russell Westbrook. You have those guys on that team. That team should not have a losing record. So every year, the last few years, the Lakers are the biggest disappointment in the league. We know that this is just true. Now, I could even say that the Warriors are a bigger disappointment than the Bulls right now, Gerald, because they're the champions and they should be way better than they are with their record and where they're sitting in the conference. So I would say that the Warriors are a huge disappointment and a top 3 or 5 disappointment in the league for as far as how they perform. I would even say the Clippers are a huge disappointment this season because of who they have and what they should have done with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and John Wall and now Russell Westbrook. You know, those teams to me are huge disappointments. The Dallas Mavericks, huge disappointment right now. Even more of a disappointment with Kyrie Irving on the team. So, even the Eastern ones, in some ways, we were all supposed to be mid in a way. And in some ways, I don't really see, because Chicago's actually where they were last year. This is about where they were at this point last year. So I didn't predict them to be very much higher. But those Western teams, yeah, you should have thought that Golden State would be one of the top 3 Western teams or that the Lakers would improve this year. Nope, and no. So I think some of the biggest disappointments this year are actually in the Western Conference. I think Portland's another one. The fact that they're so far out of things right now is really weird because they should have been a better team. You know, we've seen New Orleans should be way better than they are right now. So some of them disappointments are really on the Western side. But yeah, the Bulls, you can say that this year's a disappointment. You know, with Lonzo not ever coming back and different things. Yeah, okay, I can see that. MSJ saying, I gave him a solid try, but he soon turned very nasty. I thought he came in with good ideas, but then an honest critique turned into a rather dark cynicism. He's a crybaby and a mean person. Well, oh my gosh. Well, you know, listen, it is what it is. And maybe because of recent events, maybe his significance or what he's doing will lessen and maybe we won't talk about him as much. If that's the development with the last couple of days or whatever is happening with him, that it would be great. That would be fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I'm so glad that I've just like right away been like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with this guy. And 2 years ago, they asked me to be on a show with him, and I said no, even then, because I knew he was like this. And well, it's more and more true. Monique is saying, good morning, everyone, and happy game day. A lot to take away from the interviews. Take care of home soil. Go Raptors. Yeah, you go, Monique Lawrence. Yes, yes. I love seeing your clips from your press conference and stuff that you've been posting on your social media in the last day or so. I remember that great day when you were the community champion and you had your own press conference and Randy Urban and everybody was there. That's awesome stuff. Yeah. I am very happy about hopefully getting a big win tonight. You know, we had good success against the Gold in the first game on Sunday. I'd like to see the 905 repeat that. In fact, let's do their refs real quick. The referees for the game in Grand Rapids tonight, our crew chief is Brent Haskell. We've seen him a few times this season. He's the one who threw out Mike Brown in that Sacramento game way earlier in the season. Marcy Williams is the referee, and Italo Arujo is the umpire. It's always funny when we have Italo Arujo. It makes me think of past Raptor draft picks, Bargnani and Rafael Arujo. Italo Arujo. Yeah, so there's your ref crew for Grand Rapids. Everybody's there as far as Ron Harper, Jeff Dowtin Jr., and Joe Wieskamp. But with those guys. So they'll have a good, hopefully have a good effort and they'll beat the Gold again, once again, because they've got to solidify and get better positioning in the playoffs and solidify their spot in the G League playoffs, the Raptors 905. So go Raptors 905. Let's sweep the Grand Rapids Gold in Michigan today. We took care of business with a very great last-second shot by Jeff Dowtin Jr. to win the game by 2. Well, let's take care of business and win this one tonight also. There you go. Yeah, yeah. Jimmy Pope's here saying, go Raps. That's right. Pope of Positivity saying, go Raptors. Let's get these dubs tonight. That's right. MSJ saying, I really like Jokic. I think it's another MVP for him, and I do hope the Nuggets get to the finals. But let's get a win, Raptors. Would be a very big win to spark a decent end of season run. let's get like this may be a delay. We were supposed to get all this gumption and momentum from beating them on their home court last Monday, but it was stolen from us by an NBA official named Scott Foster. Well, maybe this is just a delay of gaining that momentum. Maybe we can think about it that way, Raptors, that we were robbed of getting our momentum at the end of that game, and what we should have done better against the LA teams afterwards. Well, let's pick that momentum up tonight by beating the Western Conference leading Denver Nuggets on our court here and make things right. And maybe we can replicate or get that wave of good energy going forward towards the next couple games afterwards. That really we did have a good momentum starting to build in Denver, and it got crushed by the official in a really fucking cheating ass way. So yeah, hopefully they can do it now. May not have happened last Monday. Maybe they can replicate and have it happen now, just a delay, a week and a day later. I hope so. Yeah, I don't mind Jokic. I think that he's a funny guy. I think that he's got a very playful spirit. And I've seen how he's kind of goofy around things. I don't know if he takes things as seriously as he could. Like, I know he's really, really, really talented and really, really good. But in some ways, I think he's lazy. Like, I worry about him. Like, the stuff he was doing at the All-Star game was absolutely lazy. And he was just like, he didn't take that game seriously at all. I understand. But still, within reason, bro, you didn't look good out there. You look so lazy and slow. And in some ways, it's like he's weird in that way to me. It's like I know he's passionate, and you can't play at the level he does without like having some get-go. But in some ways, is it easy for him? And how hard is he trying? That's what I wonder sometimes, because it looks so easy. Tom Duke's got the food now. All right, he went to the Mississippi and he pulled them croakers out. He's even got the boat there, and there's a little chef dude. Cool. And then we've got some fish. All right. I think that, yeah, those are just the croakers. He's got a few croakers there for him. And then I'm guessing this dish is ceppolini. I don't even know what ceppolini is. It sounds like an Italian dish or something. Let me look this up real quick. Let's learn something today. Ceppolini. What is this? What is it? It looks like it's Lithuania's national dish. Okay, it's a dumpling made from potato dough. So it's like a pierogi. He likes pierogies. It's like a Lithuanian pierogi is what he likes. That's cool. I like that. And then, of course, it looks like there's some jambalaya or something, some Spanish food or something for Ashley. Very good. Very good, Tom. Thank you for putting the food out. Hopefully they'll be nice, and we'll be happy with them, with the referee. Jimmy's saying, laugh out loud. We sure are getting a lot of veteran ref chiefs for a 9 seed. I know. I keep wondering about this. Like, I'm wondering why we're getting so many of the old heads, the problem refs. To be honest, these guys, they're vets, and everybody like, oh, you got Ed Malloy, you got Scott Foster. These are top refs. Yeah, they're also the shady ones, the criminal ones, the ones that I worry about the most. And that's why I'm like, give me some no-name refs. I would love to get Josh Tiven as a crew chief right now, or even Mark Lindsay, even though he's kind of sus, but like getting Tony Brothers and Scott Foster and Ben Taylor and Ed Malloy and Mark Davis, and we're getting big reps for almost every single game right now. And it's kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Something's weird. So yeah, I'm real suspicious about that. And hopefully that's not like the refs are trying to control the Raptors season by putting like main refs all the time. We'll have to see. We're really going to be paying attention to Tony Brothers tonight. Wayne's saying, guys look good yesterday at practice, sending them good vibes. Good to hear, Wayne. Yeah, hopefully they did have a good practice. It's weird, coming back from a long road trip like this and getting 3 days off is really good. That they had Saturday, Sunday to kind of get back acclimated to the time zone here. And the time change, of course, happened over Saturday night. And hopefully they, like Pascal said, sleeping in your own bed, being back at home, getting that feeling of, I'm back at home. And because there's a few days before, they can have a really good, intense practice yesterday. Hopefully that'll stop any of this kind of weird, like you have your first game back after a long road trip letdown. This is something that Monique and I have talked about in the past that is very dangerous the first home game after the road trip, because sometimes the team isn't exactly right. And we always play the Nuggets on this game back like this. It seems like this is exactly how the schedule was last year, that the time zone, the time change happened. We came back and we're chasing back from the end of this road trip. And then boom, we got to play the Nuggets first game back, and they're coming here. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Hopefully we come out there with good energy, and we had a really good practice, like Wayne said. And it shows that we're not flat, or, you know, not having a hard time getting going because we're kind of like we've had too many days rest, or we you know, traveled back and we're, you know, not ready. Hopefully we're completely ready tonight, because we can't afford to start flat or give them a lead or just not be very good right away. We need to be out there running right away. Monique saying, thank you, Dwayne Casey, for beating the Pacers. Signed, all Raptors fans. Yes. I even said it yesterday. I was like, Case, can you do us a solid? 21, can you do something for me? Can you beat the Pacers tonight for me? Yeah, thank you, Casey. And the Detroit Pistons for putting the Pacers down last night in their game and helping keep these teams behind us biting at our ankles a little bit further from us. Logical saying, got beat by the Rockets. Boston needs to blow it up. They're mid. That logic is broken in thought path. But also hearing Tatum has been talking Udoka like every day. Don't know what to think. I'm sure that, like, listen, not everything is rosy and great in Boston land. You know, they were on top and they were #1 for quite a while. And then Milwaukee went on a crazy ass win streak, and the Boston Celtics started losing a little bit more recently. We'll have to see. It's a long season. That whole thing that's happened with their coach this season has been something that they've made the best of for the most part. But in some ways, Damon's departure at this point, and, you know, I don't expect Udoka to come back. If the Celtics are going to bring him back for the next season, he's going to just get 1 year suspension, and that really was the plan. Okay, so be it. But, you know, it's going to be very weird. You know, anything that's kind of like on the simmering or problems on the down low with the Celtics, hey, I'm all for. Let's see if that happening all kinds of ways. And I would love to think that Mighty Mouse going to the ACC to coach the Yellow Jackets is going to hurt their brain trust and their coaching staff. In fact, I thought that Damon should have been the head coach of them this season instead of Joe Mazzulla. And but they couldn't have the Raptors' first ever rookie of the year be the coach of the Boston Celtics, could they? Doesn't sound good in some ways. G saying, Nurse said he was bringing Koloko for backup center, moving Precious to the wing position, and Barton was the solidified backup point guard. Yeah, because Jeff doesn't have that much eligibility to play for the Raptors main squad at this point. Barton is the designated backup point guard, and there's nothing wrong with that. And Banton will also be in there as a look at backup point guard also. It was interesting. Dalano was talking about pace. He said, one of my biggest strengths is my pace and being able to manipulate the game by speeding up or slowing down. And that he's been really reflecting and thinking about how he can utilize his pace more as a weapon in the game. And that he's really like studying and reading like changes in the game with pace and how he can add his will of how he changes the pace to really affect it in an effective way. So I'm excited about that. I like hearing the inside mind kind of thinking of players and their skills and like where they want to develop and go. And Dalano was talking about pace. And that is really one of his strongest strengths is he can really change pace quick with his dribble and the way he plays and stuff. So I love hearing that. Dalano, really watch and think about situations where your pace can be utilized to really gain an advantage. And I'm all about that. Yeah, yeah. Randolph saying some Eastern Conference teams have not taken advantage of our losing. We are still in 9th place, and winning streak can push us up higher in the standings. Listen, you know, as bad as we've had it and craziness, listen, all these other teams have struggled and have horrible sections of their season also. All these other fan nations are lamenting and feeling mid also. You know, all the things that we feel right now are felt in a lot of these fan nations, whether it's the Mavericks, the Lakers, the Pelicans, the Bulls, the Wizards, the Heat. You know, the feelings are the same around all these teams. There's problems with injuries. There's problems with certain individuals on the team that they're like, why isn't this person playing better? There's problems with, you know, coaches like not doing things that the team fans think that they should. There's all kinds of half dumpster fires going on around the league right now. And we're not the only one. In fact, a lot of the symptoms and the things we're going through are very much being going through with other people also, just so y'all know. Very much going through the same stuff. Yeah, it's in some ways nobody really has. I don't know if this is weird parody. It's this byproduct of like chopping the nuts off on all the defenses in the league, that you get this weird parody where everybody's bunched up in the middle. That may be part of it there. Country Kong saying, good morning, Raptor Freaks. What interesting interviews we saw yesterday. My favorite was Nick on Jeff Dowtin. He said we only have 7 games left with him. I had no idea. Explains his lack of playing time. Yeah, with the two-way contracts, they only get a certain number of games on the main roster that they can play. And we really used Jeff a lot in the middle of the season. And that was great. And we needed him. We needed him at those times in different ways. So I think we've really effectively used Jeff this year very well. He's very much been very important to the 905 and been the true leader there. He really is the #1 leader down there right now. And then he's very much bolstered our bench and done good things for the Raptors on the main level. So I'm okay with this. In some ways, I'd much rather Barton get more time. Now, some people have said, well, you know, you can always convert him, Nick. Why don't you convert him for the playoffs? It may not be worth it. And in some ways, he's in our system, and maybe next year he's not a two-way player and he's a full member of our roster. We'll have to see how it all pans out. But in some ways, if you want to convert him, you've got to waive somebody, and then you can make him that. Now, some would say, well, you could waive Malachi, and boom, then Jeff Dowtin Jr. would be available to play in the postseason. Well, is that how you want to end Malachi's time with the Raptors? I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea what they're going to do. But I doubt that they'll convert Jeff Dowtin on his two-way. I think they're going to just let it play like it has at this point. If they, you know, in some ways, him saying that he has to save those games is very much a nod saying that they're not planning on converting him. That's what they're saying. So don't hold your breath on him getting converted. But next year, who knows? We'll see what his role is with the Raptors. But yeah, very interesting. G saying, yep, unfortunately, the Bucks look good, complete, and deep. Yeah, well, it is what it is. But if any team does well against them, it's us. We have been very good against them historically in any kind of – I don't care how good our team looks or whatever. It's the Bucks versus the Raptors. We know who wins that matchup. Yeah, we know who wins that matchup. G saying, yes, country, because he is on a two-way. They're only allowed to play a certain amount of games in the NBA. Yep. Yep, and they had to use him a lot in the middle of the season, and rightfully so. It was good stuff. All right, Shere Khan's here. Let's see what Shere Khan's saying. Very enthusiastic. Raptor Freak Shere Khan. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Speaking of the Spurs, feels so good that our trade partner got revenge for us. Really hope they get Wemby, but Scoot and Thompson brothers are also great consolation prize. Young guys at San Antonio do look good. You know, it's weird. I saw a post in San Antonio Fan Nation asking them who they want in the draft, and they're actually preferring Scoot over Wembayama. I know this sounds really weird. A lot of them were saying we want Scoot. We don't want Victor. So I'm very curious about that and the reasoning why Spurs Nation, a lot of their fans prefer getting Scoot Henderson instead of getting Victor Wembanyama. I thought that was really weird. So we'll have to see what happens. They're obviously going to get a top pick, the Spurs. They'll get a top 3 pick, one of them for sure. Trevor's saying, I like that move by Nick, bringing Koloko for the backup center tonight. We're going to beat the Nuggets tonight. You go, Trevor J. Yes, I believe too. Listen, we got to rectify and make what's wrong right. And what we got to do is make sure we beat the Nuggets tonight because we deserve to beat them last Monday and we were robbed of it. Well, we're going to make sure we make this right. And not only that, if we could beat them in a way that looks so good and we feel good and we get all the things that we should have gotten last Monday tonight, it'll be all the sweeter. Because in some ways, it's kind of like what they say. It's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get up. And they knocked us down last week. And in some ways, we can symbolize the Raptors team getting back up from the ref hit jobs tonight by kicking some ass and getting that momentum that we deserve to earn and get last Monday that Scott Foster stole from us with the Scotty Barnes ejection. So that's what I'm saying. Let's get back up today and let's show them that we're Rocky Balboa and we're ready to fucking keep fighting. Yeah. Yeah. Mike's saying Nick Nurse basically said what I said earlier. He needs an inside offensive game, 0 to 10 foot, and it's more than just rolling in dumps. It's reading the defense and having the right inside shot too. Yeah, listen, Koloko's offensive game is going to develop at the pace that it needs to, but it will develop faster getting the reps at the 905 because he's going to be looked at to be scoring more. He really isn't a scorer for the 905 either. Those guys like Sterling Brown, Gabe Brown, Jeff Dowtin Jr., Ron Harper, those guys are filling it up. In a lot of ways, Koloko gets a lot of his points off garbage stuff like offensive rebounding, but he does get a lot of lobs. He's a good lob target. And then, you know, what we want to see is more of what he did at Arizona. And it's a really like the 5 to 10 foot game near the basket with the little baby hooks over his shoulder, little set shots. And hell, if he can hit a 3 from time to time, like he's shown so far, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, Nick's saying that he wants him to expand his repertoire more than just getting lobs and offensive putbacks. That he wants to see him get the ball and be more effective with little like shots near the basket with kind of within Jakob's natural range also. It's not like he wants him to take a lot of mid-range or like 20 footers or something like that. It's all like within like 10 feet is where he wants him to shoot. So yeah, you know, that was cool to hear Nick talk about Koloko and what he expects from him offensively more and more. Jam Joe's is here. Good to see Jam Joe's. It's been a little bit, Jam Joe's. Hope you've been doing good, man. Yo, did anybody see the Chev vid of him spinning the block on Pensera? Check it out. It's what we've been waiting for. Yes. Woo. Yeah, well, hey, listen, you know, you get what you get. You want to talk out of pocket, you say all kinds of crazy shit. Well, sometimes somebody will set you straight. And I'm glad Chev is that guy today. Yeah, that's good stuff. Country Kong saying, Edgy, oh, I see. Makes sense. So we were saving the games we have left with him for the playoffs. That's clever. Do we have the option to convert his contract? I don't want us to lose any more 905 stars. We do not. We're not going to be able to use him for the playoffs currently, and I don't think we will. So Jeff Dowtin is not going to be that guy. That guy's really going to be Will Barton. Will Barton will be our backup point guard in the playoffs and the play-in. But Jeff Dowtin, I very much, like I said, I doubt they're going to convert him over just because of, well, Nick said that we got to save his eligible games. So if they were going to convert him, they would have just converted him, and then they wouldn't have to worry about any of this at all, and he'd be back with the Raptors. So it really is a nod that they're not going to convert him from a two-way to a regular contract. So we won't see him in the playoffs. But, you know, we'll hopefully see him stick around this summer and continue to be in our system and hopefully get a path to getting on the main roster of Raptors. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Shir Khan saying, love to get a W tonight and hand Denver their 4th straight loss. Memphis and Sacramento are surging and could catch up to Denver. Going to be so funny to see them drop out of the 1st seed. If Philadelphia are the same record, Embiid should get MVP. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stats getting posted on Twitter right now about like win and loss percentages with the top MVP candidates, whether they're there or not. And some of the stats really show Embiid's presence and what he does for the Sixers is huge in some ways. And there's some stats that are really showing that Joel may actually really be like the top candidate for being the MVP. Very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. Now, looking at the standings, Shirkan, I don't totally know. I mean, there's 4.5 games. That's a pretty wide margin. So I'm not totally sure about Denver getting knocked off at the top, even though they've been struggling recently. They're going to need to lose a lot, and the other teams are going to have to be perfect. So I wouldn't hold your breath on them getting knocked out of the number 1, though. I think that they'll cruise and they'll stick right around up there and still be the number 1 seed in the West by the end of the year. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. G saying they can convert his contract, but not sure how that works with the roster spots. Logical is a pro at this stuff, so he may be able to answer that better. Well, I read it. It's basically they're going to have to waive Malachi if they want to convert Jeff Dowtin Jr. up. That's basically what it is. They'd have to waive one of the other guys on the team existing. They could waive Will Barton. They could waive Malachi. They could waive Dalano. They could waive all, Joe Wieskamp. But that's what they'd have to do. They'd basically have to waive one of those guys, and then they could make Jeff a full roster player. So somebody has to leave, basically, is what has to happen. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. Just tuning in. Hawks lost yesterday, so let's get a dub tonight. That's right. Really happy that the Hawks lost last night. Any of these teams that are near us, the more they lose, the better, and we need to win for sure. Yeah, let's get this W against the Nuggets tonight. Mike is saying, I got you, G. Two-way players can only dress 50 games with the big club during the season. Okay, so that's the thing. Jeff's played a lot of games for the Raptors already. If he's only got 7 left, that means he's played 43 of those games already. Seymour saying, do you see Fred opting in for next season? I hope that Fred just doesn't even take his player option, that he just stays on his contract. Like he fools everybody this summer, and he just stays on the books with the contract that he's already on. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. I just hope Fred sticks around, and it just pisses off all the Fred haters more and more. Jimmy's saying, most of the time there is alternate motives with YouTube. So sometimes you got to cater to get the views, but I don't really care what people say. I'm from Toronto, and I bleed Raps red. Not everyone's the same. Yeah, that's the thing. Like in some ways, listen, you know, people can make Raptors content from anywhere in the world. Chev's in New York, you know, Chris is in LA, you know, people are in other places and they're doing Raptor stuff. But in some ways, you got to wonder, like, listen, I'm from Toronto. I was born here in this city in 1975. I just happened to be raised in Tallahassee, Florida. But I was always a Canadian this whole time. And my allegiance to my country and my city was always very strong, even as a young person living in the United States. So it's a weird thing when you get tested and tempered in an outside place as a person from another place, you get even more ensconced with that identity and like being having a strong faith with it. It's like, you're the Canadian kid. Well, you're damn right. And I'm a proud Canadian. And I always was the whole time. In fact, I was down there defending the honor of Canada as a country against young Southern United States kids that are kind of country boys. Oh, yeah, well, in Canada, I heard you got to fight the polar bears to get your mail. I was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Well, we got to fight alligators down here, you know, and stuff like, you know, it's just bullshit that I went through when I was a little kid. So it's like, in some ways, like your true blue loyalty and where you come from in some ways can really kind of like affect things. Like in some ways you could say, well, Chev, he was a Knicks fan, but he gave up on them. You know, it's like, would we ever give up on the Raptors like he gave up on the Knicks? I don't know. I'm glad Chev is in Raptors Nation, and he's very much a positive force in it for the most part. And you know, everybody can come and be a Raptors fan. I have no problem with that. But in some ways, you really got to wonder about the motives or where their loyalty lies. If they're so quick to stab the players, the coach, anybody around the team in the back with the knife of criticism and just like unfair, like a name calling or just bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I really look at. It's like, look, you know, you're a real one. You're a real one. And Jimmy Pope knows because he's a real one. He's from Toronto and that he believes Raptors red. And that's just how it is. And I'm one of the same with him. So yeah, that's just how it is. Seymour's saying facts, Jimmy. Yeah, Seymour's the same. We're all a part. This is what a Raptor freak is. This is what it is exactly. Logical is saying can't retract the incomplete message during the G League season. Two ways cannot play in the play-in or playoffs. We had a chance to convert Dowtin, but signed Barton and Wieskamp for the same money. Yeah. So in a way, I don't mind this. Listen, guys, Jeffrey Dowtin is not the end-all be-all savior for this team. In fact, some of those guys that are higher up on the pecking order need to be more like him, honestly. But they can be. Trust me. Will Barton is a better player right now than Jeff Dowtin. It may not seem like it from what we've seen him contribute so far, but it is true. He has way more knowledge and experience than Jeffrey. Jeffrey's good in a lot of ways, but Will is the right move with this. And I don't know, Wieskamp could end up being a really, really important three-point shooter in certain ways in the postseason. So I'm okay with this move and it not being Jeff. Jeff's going to get his time. He's on his way. This dude's going to be a bona fide NBA player next year. He should not be messing around with no G League in his next season. So we'll see what happens with him. And hopefully he sticks with our franchise and is a part of our roster next year. But we'll have to see. Country Kong saying it ain't so. But yeah, unfortunately, that is the rules with the two-way contract and Jeff Dowtin Jr. Sheer Khan saying karma is really on our side with competition losing games. We're still in it for 8th seed, Miami may be difficult to catch, but at least 2 chances to advance. Would be fun to see Milwaukee in the first round. I think so too. In some ways, I'd rather see them than the Celtics, but either one's going to be very difficult for sure if we end up getting through the play and having to play one of those top 2 seeds. It's weird. I don't call it karma. I call it the basketball gods. And there is some sort of outlying force that kind of evens everything out in this world in some ways. There's a yin to the yang. There's a force, and then there's a counter force. There's effect. There's a whole thing to things. And in some ways, when the referee does something shady and fucks things up, does something unnatural, abhorrent to the game that isn't natural to the game, the basketball gods may in some ways look at this and things all work out a certain way in the long run, that it all evens out, if that makes any sense. And in some ways, I really do feel like, it's kind of like in the game where somebody gets a dumbass technical for something stupid, like throwing the ball off the stanchion, or like somebody has a gripe with a person on our team, Ben Taylor, and we get a bad tech. Well, quite often, the player who gets up to the line and shoots the technical free throw misses it. And, Alvin always says ball don't lie when he's in the broadcast. And I believe that. Sometimes these misses and what happens with this kind of stuff is very much like, there's other forces out there regulating what's fair and just and right. And that free throw didn't go in because that technical wasn't justified. I often very much think that when guys miss technicals, I was always like, oh, well, then now we know that call was bullshit because the basketball gods let it be known because it rimmed out and missed. Mike's saying we have Dowtin in a restricted free agency at the end of the year. We have him and Wieskamp now for next year. But the 7 games to dress is about saving it for the right games. We may get hit with an injury. He's insurance. Yeah. That's what Nick was explaining yesterday. That we could cab him right back playing for us right now. But in some ways, listen, the things that with the G League season and the NBA season don't line exactly up. The G League season is going to end before the end of this month. In fact, they only have 6 games left. So in some ways, it's smart for them to get Jeffrey in every single one of those G League games for the rest of the season. And then they'll be done. And then we have all the games in April. I think there's like 6 games then to fully use him closing out the season. So that's kind of how I look at it, is like, and he may not play just because they may want to play the guys who are going to play in the postseason a lot. But just in case they need him because of, God forbid, any kind of injuries or anything like that, knock on wood, that's what they're seeing. So when the G League season ends, well, obviously they're going to have playoffs too, somewhere in there too. But that may be part of it. It's because they're going to end their season very quick. And they need him down there to lead that team to the best possible outcome with their playoff chances on the G League level. So, they're getting the most out of him at both levels. They're getting a lot out of him from the main team this year, and he's definitely been leading the G League team this whole year also. So G saying Jamal is game time decision. I'm not a better, but the odds were in Denver's favor, and today they are in the Raps' favor. Just guessing, but to me, this shows Jamal will not play. In some ways, I wondered about this. Like I said, I can't think that these Nuggets players felt very good about how they won against us last Monday. And it's not like, I don't know, Jamal Murray may be a Raptors fan deep down inside. And maybe he's like, you know what, coach, I don't feel well. My ankle doesn't feel well. And maybe he's kind of like, trying to do a solid for us because he does have a relationship with Nick Nurse on Team Canada. And maybe he feels a little bad about what's going on with the Raptors and how we got robbed by Scott Foster. It'd be really weird to pick the brain of some of the Nuggets and how things went down last week and how they look at it and feel about it. Because in some ways, like I've said before, they got robbed in that game also just as much as we did. We got robbed of the win right at the end of the game, but they got robbed of the ability to win the game without the help from Scott Foster. So in some ways, he really hurt them also in some ways in the wrong way. He did an injustice to both teams. So I don't know. We'll have to see. We're going to be monitoring this today. Jamal Murray's status for the game tonight against the Raptors. It's going to be a big deal. And you're saying that the odds makers have us favored right now? Hey, I'll take it. That seems really crazy considering, I guess we're both on losing streaks right now. Well, somebody's got to win tonight, and hopefully it's us. We need to protect the North. We need to win in Scotiabank Arena tonight. Country Kong saying, I like Banton, but if we signed him at the cost of rewarding Jeff Dowtin, I think that's unfair. I feel we did wrong by Dowtin and also Champagny and Reggie Perry. I trust Masai, but we have no bench. Well, each one's an individual different case of different things. Reggie Perry, we did him a solid, actually. You know, he wanted better opportunity to play on an NBA team. Well, that was part of the deal. And Greg has it in his piece about why Reggie Perry went to the Windy City Bulls. He has a very good piece on the Gubstown Clink about Reggie Perry recently. And he's basically saying that, look, the Bulls told us that they would like Reggie because they need him for their main roster Bulls, and that when he goes there, he will get time on the NBA court. And we didn't want to hold him up for his career. So sending Reggie Perry to the Windy City Bulls was very much to help him and say, thank you for your service with us. You have a better opportunity with the Bulls to get more playing time on the main team. So that's why we sent him to that team. It's actually doing him a big, huge favor. And he's very happy about it. And he is getting to play, I think, with the Bulls at this point. So that's good. The thing with Justin was that was a money-saving move that we needed to get rid of him by a deadline or we were going to have to owe him more money. And in some ways, getting rid of him freed us up to get somebody like Joe Wieskamp and do some of the things that we've done. So that was a very calculated roster move. And they were probably looking at like, all right, what has he done with development and done in the time that he's been here? And what do we want to do? And what are our plans? And he just didn't fit. Well, now he's tearing it up for the Sioux Falls Skyforce on the Miami Heat G League team. And he's been averaging some crazy ass numbers just in the last week. No lie. It's like he's averaging like 25 points a game and like 15 rebounds or something like that. It's crazy. But that more power to him. He's got to do that stuff. And it was cool to see Ron Harper Jr. celebrating Justin on his Instagram yesterday. He literally posted a Justin Champagny stat line, Ron Harper Jr. So you see that there was a bond made there. And yeah, I mean, as far as like, this isn't unfair to Jeff. Honestly, Jeffrey is so happy with the Raptors organization and what's been happening here. In fact, he loves it here. Like, seriously, every time I hear him talk about basketball this year in interviews and stuff, he's so enthusiastic. Because first of all, he's a huge basketball nerd. He's constantly studying theory of basketball and his plays and ideas. And that's part of the reason why he's the player who he is that he's a very cerebral thinking kind of player that really studies the game and is a student of the game. And in the environment of the Raptors with the coaching staff of Nick Nurse and the other guys and Eric Curry, that he thrives and loves this environment and that he really loves the like duality of being on the main roster and the 905 and the two different roles he shifts from between the two. So in fact, I would tell you right now, if you ask Jeffrey Dowtin Jr. about this year of his professional career, this has been the most enjoyable, I'll bet, to him in some ways, because it's been very rewarding. He's had very good moments on the main squad that he's shined, and everybody's like, we want more Jeff. And then on the lower level, he's been winning games with game winners and leading that team to a lot of success. So I don't think he's upset, and we're not doing anything to him that's unfair. He's very happy, trust me. Smooth Brown Manson, I saw that there's beef on YouTube with Chev and Pensera. Crazy. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. You know, a little roused up the hornet's nest to Chev. Look out. Yeah. Ooh, you don't want to do that. Tom Duke has got a jar and money. Money flies. All right. I don't totally understand that, but it's all good. Let's see what else is going on. David Saborin is here. David is saying, are we ready to move on from Fred finally? Oh, my gosh, David. Listen, why you get up on the wrong side of the bed, man? If Dowtin has limited games, why did he play garbage minutes earlier in the season? I don't think we have used him well at all. I completely disagree. Listen, if you're talking about whether it calculated to wins, well, has anything been calculating to wins for us in general in certain ways because of the inconsistency that I was describing earlier? You know, Dowtin has been awesome, and we have used him very well. Trust me, we have. He's used him at very good times. In fact, he took gambles on him at times when he may have rode the bench for the whole game, and it really paid off. We saw Nick insert Jeff for defensive guard purposes, and he'd have huge success, like really tying up the opposing guard that nobody else on the other team, on our team, was able to tie up. like slow them down, like on the ball defense. So this is really good stuff. No reason to slander or hate our captain, David. And I'm not going to give you a strike, but if you're very negative today, I will time you out. How about that? Seymour's saying, who the fuck is Pensair? That's a dunk. That's a dunk just because it's just a great line. Who the fuck is Pensair? All right, where's my dunk list? All right, I got to mark Seymour's getting his first dunk of the year. Yeah, that's a dunk. Who the fuck is Pensair? No disrespect, but never heard of him. Anyway, let's go, Raps. He is he who shall not be named. Fred hater. He is being a Fred hater like David's being this morning. Let's see. David's saying Nick's answer in the interview was odd. When they asked him about Dowtin, he was stumped. Only has 7 games left. Fred's got to go. Nick and Fred are dysfunctional together. Oh, my gosh. David. Oh, my gosh. No, and no. In fact, Nick, did you listen to him? He's saying that he's trying to figure out. All right, first of all, the interviewer described Fred as having more of an off-ball role at the beginning of the season. And Fred said, no, we didn't really try to do that. But he's kind of lying because they did try to go him off-ball and make him a shooting guard at the beginning of the season. And Scotty was going to be the point guard. Well, that got scrapped early because it was all mess. And Fred has reverted back to being a point guard. In fact, we've seen his assist numbers in the last couple of games. David, what the fuck is your problem with Fred? He's playing point guard. He's shooting less. He's doing a really good job. And that Nick's very happy with the job he's doing as far as discerning whether he should pass or shoot. And that he's really got to toe that line in the right way. Fred is getting our guys going otherwise. That he's doing the point guard thing where he's like, look, I got to get more assists. I'm setting up Gary. I'm setting up Precious. I'm setting up Scotty. I'm setting up Pascal. I'm setting up Pirtle. You know, that's the stuff that Fred is doing right now. In fact, I think Fred's playing like, listen, he played really good in February when we were winning a lot of games. He was shooting very good threes. His shot was on. He was scoring big games. But now he's not scoring as much, and he's really looking more to pass right now. And in fact, I'm annoyed with Fred because he's not aggressive enough with his shot. I'd like him to shoot more threes right now. In fact, he was been sheepish and a little bit not totally confident with taking shots, and he's looking to pass more. In some ways, I don't like that. I want him to be hungry. I want him to be aggressive, and I want him to bomb threes because when he gets going, he gets cooking. That's good for everybody. And in fact, if Gary's going to show up off the bench and not be able to do anything, and Fred's not in his regular mode of trying to hit threes, we're in trouble. We're not going to be able to score enough points. And this is part of what happened on Friday against the Lakers and made us lose. That we get an offer from Gary, and Freddie's not playing the aggressive kind of like looking to score Freddie. Yeah, we have trouble with this. David, you're totally off base with me. We're on opposite ends of the spectrum, and we completely disagree. I will have to say that because there's nothing wrong with what Fred's doing right now. And I don't know why you're trying to say that they're dysfunctional together. That's really weird. It's really, really weird. He wasn't stumped about the Dowtin thing. He knows exactly what's going on with Jeff Dowtin, that he has 7 games eligible left and that he's saving him just in case of injury. Sounds like he knows exactly what's going on. David saying Nick doesn't want the world to see Dowtin. He would have a lot of explaining to do. I have to be honest. I'm pissed with this season. Fucking Nick and his lineups. Oh my gosh. All right. Listen, I can get upset with Nick with his rotation in the last game, and I can understand that. But David, why are you so upset? Maybe you need to drink some water, go eat some food, maybe take a nap. I don't know. There may be some bodily need that's making you grouchy. I don't know what it is, David. There's no reason to be so angry. Seriously, we have an opportunity today to right a wrong and take down the Denver Nuggets tonight, and we need to do that. This is no reason to get upset. If you're upset tomorrow morning after the game because we lost, I can understand that. But we haven't even played the game tonight. Why are you already upset? Oh my gosh, the world's seen Jeff Dowtin. I mean, he's been on the Magic, he's been on the Bucks, he's been on Golden State. He's been on a lot of different teams in the league already. It's not like he's hiding him from anybody. People are aware of Jeff Dowtin and who he is and what he can do. It's just that he's in a certain place with his career, and this is just how it is. This is what the front office decided. They don't want to convert him. And I know I was somebody who said at the beginning of the season that we'll convert him. I bet on that at the beginning of the season. I said, Jeff's going to be so good, we're going to convert him. Well, I think he's been good enough to convert, but we're just deciding not to. And there's nothing wrong with this. This is the front office. Once again, we trust Masai, and I trust this decision. and what they're doing. And I'm mystified by why you're so angry this morning. Really, seriously, David, chill. Logical saying training a good bench leader using the 9 to 5 as the team being the lead at the moment. Fred Fred VanVleet had to prove what the fuck, Mike. Then he became the bench mob leader right off the same year. Maybe they're trying to do the same. I don't fucking understand what you're saying, Mike. Please write it in coherent sentences. Seriously, you're trying to say that, okay, Jeff, they're trying to do something with Jeff like they would do with Fred, as far as he was a leader on the 905, and then they elevated him and made him the bench mob leader off the bench. I get what you're saying. So maybe next year, Jeffrey's more full roster and not 905, obviously. I don't think he's eligible for 905 after next year because he's actually like a third or fourth year player at this point. So I don't know. Anyway, Mike, you got to clean it up, bro. Seriously, read it before you send it. Read it, and if it doesn't make any fucking sense when you read it, change it to make it sound right, because I can't read this. Training a good bench leader using the 905 as the leader being lead at the moment. Fred VanVleet had to prove he can lead a team. Then he became the bench mob leader right off that year. Maybe we're trying the same. What the fuck is that? Seriously, Mike, please. David's saying, remind me of some old drunk sitting at the slot machines for hours on end. I don't even know you're talking about. You're still talking about Nick. Oh my gosh. All right. Shirkan saying the one who shall not be named did admit that he is on the spectrum and he has social issues. Not sure if this is the best way to deal with it, though. Feeding into the problem instead of making it better. Listen, if he has those kind of issues, I'll feel for him to a degree. But in some ways, bro, you're putting yourself out there. You know, you got to be ready to deal with whatever you're doing if you're putting yourself out there right now. Sometimes I wonder, like, do I say too much or I go too far? Well, people call me out and want to come after me for what I say. Well, I have to deal with that. And that's the same thing with him. It's like you put yourself out there. Yeah, that's part of the deal, bro. You want to be out there and be in people's faces. Well, you can expect them to judge you and do this kind of stuff. It doesn't fit with some of your personality traits or things that you have to deal with if you're on the spectrum. Then maybe you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Maybe you should take a step back, or maybe you should like go in at the project in a different way. Maybe you're better at writing. Maybe you should write your stuff instead of making the content and interacting with the people. One of the things that I love is interacting with everybody in the comments, and I'm good at it. And I'm good on the fly and talking and keeping things going. You know, maybe you're not. Maybe you're not a very good people person. And that part of the problem is that you have conflicts with people and disagree, and it's ugly and it's stupid. So maybe you need to like hone your content and figure out how you do it. Maybe you need to just write for something like Raptors Republic and send pieces in written and not film yourself and do things like that. I don't know. I don't know what he should do. I don't care in some ways. But yeah, I feel for him if he has certain issues that he deals with, but it's not healthy to put him on blast and deal with them by fighting with people about the Raptors on YouTube. Seymour saying, go wrong, tragic. I'm giving you another one, man. Seymour's on fire. 2 dunks today. Go wrong, tragic. I want to call him go wrong, tragic. On the Bucks. Damn, now I want the Bucks to lose. I know, it's the same here. In some ways, I was rooting for them, but now that they have Dragic, I don't want them to win at all. I never, ever want to see go wrong, tragic, ever win an NBA championship. And we don't want Milwaukee to win now, which is unfortunate. It's too bad you did that, Milwaukee, because you would have had Raptors Nation rooting for you if you hadn't done this. We very much do like Giannis and different things about your team, but we don't like Goran. So you will not have the support of the North for your playoff push this year just because you picked up that idiot. So, yeah, David likes it too. Go wrong. I know. Isn't that good? That's so funny. Monique is saying, I don't watch March Madness, but so many Canadians on the list. So many eyes on Zach Edey. You know, this is a guy. Listen, I know we just got Koloko. I know we just got Jakob, but it would be fun if we drafted Zach Edey and he was like a third center in our system. In some ways, I don't see why you wouldn't want as many good, talented, big, different kind of looking centers on your team as possible. And Zach Edey is another one of these Canadian kids I really want on the Raptors. I'm hearing all the great things that are happening with him in the Boilermakers this season and how dominant he's being. And I'm like, dude, we need to get him on the Raptors. Let's get Zach on this team. I want him and Leonard Miller. I'm like, ooh, let's get our Canadian kids back home in the Raptor Red this draft season. In some ways, I really do want to draft a Canadian this year, Masai. Can we draft one of these good Canadians that are coming into the league? I really would like to get another Canadian guy, Zach Edey. Ooh, that would be so good in Raptors Red. Zach. You know, in some ways, he doesn't have to totally play center. In some ways, we may be able to play him with Pirtle and have like a power forward center lineup with him. Ooh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Country Kong saying, oh my, I'm catching up on last night's highlights. Celtics lost to the Rockets. Brook Lopez and Trey Lyles seriously got into it. Lopez is turning into an absolute goon. I never forget Gary Trent Jr.'s headband. Yeah, this is a weird situation with Brook Lopez, because what's happening recently is he's gaining a lot of steam in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. And he's like one of the leading candidates now to be Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm like thinking about, well, he thought that fucking Gary's headband was talking to him. And he's got like mental problems, you know? And like, listen, I know OG missed parts of the season, but listen, I wish y'all would put more shine on how he shuts people down like he does. And really, really, we need to put that more out there. If we were winning more, he would have more of a chance. But honestly, it's sad because all the years that OG's been such a top defensive player in this league, and he never gets any shine. I put it on the NBA to put OG Anunoby on the defensive team this year. He needs to be on either the first or the second team all defensive this year. You need to give some credit to Mr. Anunoby and the job that he's been doing for years now on the defensive end. Y'all need to give him a little nod and a little shine, because you got to understand, this man, he goes from shutting down Anthony Davis to going and shutting down Donovan Mitchell to going and guarding Luka Doncic. This man is guarding all the toughest players in the league and finding good success. So give OG his shine and make him a defensive team selection. He deserves it. But yeah, Brook Lopez is starting their times trying to say he's the Defensive Player of the Year. Well, they made Marcus Smart Defensive Player of the Year last year. Maybe it's a stupid award that they just give to idiots. That's what I'm going to start thinking. Seymour saying, anyone in here a construction worker? Hire Gary Trent Jr., the bricklayer. Ooh, I'm not going to give you a dunk for that one. That was negative. I feel bad for Gary. Seriously, you think he wanted to fucking brick like he did against the Lakers the other night? No, he didn't. Man, I want to see him come back, bounce back like anything. You know, like I said, you get knocked down on the ground. It's how many times you get up. And it's time for Gary to get back up again and show that amazing offensive ability that he has against the Nuggets tonight. I want to see you get double digits tonight, Gary. I want to see you shoot well. I want to see you fill it up. And hopefully that's what happens. Jimmy saying, Gary got to wake up. Those missed layups. Yikes. All the stuff. I mean, whatever it is, Gary, in some ways, you going to the basket and getting easier shots up close will help you with your outside shots. But once again, the main important thing that matters about Gary Trent Jr. is not him making shots. That's important. It helps. But the most important thing is him playing the ultimate good defense that he's supposed to. And that if he's not doing that, then Nick is not going to play him, because that is the prerequisite. Gary, you have to play Raptors defense. And if you're not playing that style, you don't fit on this team. That's what they've said. So you got to make sure at least you're doing that baseline of really good defense, even if your shot's not falling. Cool Cat's saying, when you're not accustomed to losing, it can mess with you. You can see it on Fred's face now, too. As the leaders, the losing hits them harder, especially coming from Lowry and DeMar's tree. Yeah, I agree with this. I mean, it's got to wear on them. But once again, also, in some ways, you got to be light about it. You can't carry the whole weight of the season on you. And if I was the Raptors, seriously, I would be looking outside a little bit, like I've been trying to say to you guys. Look at the other teams in the league. Everybody's struggled and have these problems. You're not singularly the only ones. And in some ways, that can empower you to know that everybody's struggling to a degree. So you need to go ahead and just take care of business, stay in the moment, not get weighed down by the baggage of this whole season, and just take it in the present moment to go and fucking take it to the Nuggets tonight. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. David's saying Jeff has played 43 games. Wow. I have hardly seen him, and I watch every minute of every game. What are his average minutes per game? 255. I don't know exactly what he's playing, but yeah, he has played a lot this season. You got to understand the season's been very long, and he played a lot at different times, and he's played consistently at different times. It's not that he plays a whole lot in every single one of these games. David, I don't understand. You seem a little unreasonable today. I'm not totally getting your vibe, bro. Let's see. Mike is saying we have no money to convert Dowtin. We're not paying luxury to dump Malachi to play Dowtin in the playoffs. Doesn't make sense asset management wise. It's better move to get both Wheezy and Barton. Yeah, and like, listen, we may not have much of a postseason. Why would we do all these moves and we just like, if we, God forbid, just losing the play-in and we're right out? Like, this would be silly. This would be really silly. So yeah, we don't want to just outright dump Malachi, even if that sounds attractive. We might need to still keep him around for some reason. Plus, once again, I just trust whatever they're going to decide and what they're doing. And I like the idea of having Joe Wieskamp and Will Barton for the playoffs. Those guys are good three-point shooters, and they are going to be very helpful. Hopefully, they'll step up and do good things. Seymour saying, I say drop the MVP trophy and just have one. The finals MVP is the one that counts. Interesting. I like this buzz coming out of the NBA about having a minimum amount of games to qualify for postseason awards. You know, in some ways, they've always had this. The voters kind of already look at it this way, that they can have an arbitrary number that they finally say, well, you don't qualify for MVP because you did not play at least 60 or 70 games. I don't know what the threshold will be exactly. But the voters have always thought about this when they make their decisions for these awards. They do look at like how much people play and stuff, and when they consider it. So if they do it officially, that's good. But in some ways, it's not totally necessary because they already kind of did it unspoken. So let's see. You know, the idea of dropping awards is not in the interest of the NBA, obviously, because they're adding more awards and they want to put everybody names on all these awards now. Now we have the Michael Jordan MVP, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the Bill Russell this, the Larry Bird this, the Magic Johnson this. They're naming more and more awards after NBA greats. So don't expect them to get rid of awards. In fact, they'll probably figure out more stupid ass awards, like the Hustle Award that they gave to Marcus Smart last year, which was like silly. What the fuck is this award? Hustle Award? Like, what is this? Monique saying, what do you think of the new report of the NBA and the NBA? Okay, yeah. This is what I was just talking about. They're negotiating. Okay, wait. Okay, what do you think of the new report of the NBA and the NBA Players Association establishment players playing more games than sitting out? I like it. Yeah, I like it too. I mean, listen, too many people are missing too many games for stupid reasons. And in some ways, the NBA needs to incentivize the players to make sure that they're showing up and playing in games. You know, it's really casual how some of the superstars treat the NBA and being away and showing up and stuff. You know, like, there's all kinds of weird absences that aren't totally like because of injury or anything. They're just like personal, or they're just like, oh, and sometimes you wonder, okay, this is a personal reason to be away. But then also it's like, this is weird. You know, I don't know. I don't know where they do this or how they do this. This is such a gray area and such a tough way to suss out. But I think it's important that there's some sort of incentives for players to try and consistently show up and play in games and not take load managed games or miss games for whatever reason. So they've got to talk this out and they'll figure it out. Hopefully they'll improve it somehow, some way. Wayne's saying the number 3 spot in each conference is the coveted spot. Teams are jockeying, so they might rest players to accomplish specific goals. We need to focus and treat each game like a playoff game now. Yeah, we should have been doing this for a while already. And it's too bad we haven't had more success in getting more W's, because this really has been the stretch these last 20 games. And well, in the last 6 games, we are not getting the wins that we want as far as like the amount of games we're playing. We've been losing more than we've been winning. And I don't like that. In fact, in our last 10 games, we are 5-5. We can't be a 500 level team to get to where we need to get to. We need to be a winning 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 to get more traction and move up, or at least just tread water and stay exactly where we are in the play-in, because other teams are shifting and moving around also. And the elevator can go one direction in a certain direction really fast sometimes in this league. And we want it to be going up and not going down. I think this is true. Near the end of the season, we're going to find that teams are going to do weird things like bench players or not try hard in certain games. And I've wondered about our last 3 games of the season against the Celtics and the Bucks about where they're going to be at in relation to this at that point. Will they be trying to land in a certain playoff spot, and they may be like trying not necessarily to totally win the games that we have in Boston, those last 2 games, and then the last game of the season here against the Bucks. We'll have to see what they're doing and with what they're trying to accomplish for the playoffs, whether it's trying to rest guys so that they're ready and they don't play them at the end of the season because they're resting them, or they're trying to lose on purpose to guide their team into a better playoff position for what they want to do in the postseason. So this could very well be something that Wayne has pointed out for sure. And the fact that they're put the Celtics and the Bucks right at the end for us, that could really like be a factor. Seriously. Carlos here. Good to see Carlos. It's been a bit. Good to see you, my man. Let's see what he's saying. Morning, Lex. Just got back from vacation. How's everyone doing? We're doing pretty good, man. Listen, it's been a negative season. It's been a tough season, but we're staying strong and fast, and we're the real ones. And we stuck together, and we're still here. That's what I love. The fact that I've still got people watching me at this point in the season, considering some fans will be like, I can't watch this anymore. They're losing too much. I just like, why am I spending my time watching the Raptors when I just get disappointed over and over again? Well, there's a lot of people that quit watching during the season at different times, but we're still here. And I appreciate seeing you, Carlo. I hope you had a really good vacation, and we're glad you're back and you're safe. Country Kong saying, Seymour, the MVP award has unseen impacts on elite players. It carries honor and prestige and encourages players like Jokic and Embiid to play their absolute best throughout the long regular season. There's all kinds of things to it. There's things that are built into their contracts with incentives. It could mean more money. It can mean that they make more money. It's like if Pascal makes all NBA this year, he actually gets more money in his contract. It's part of like incentive building. And then also it's obviously an important part of the legacy and history of the league. If you get a certain amount of MVP awards, you get put into a higher category with people like Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. So there's a lot to it that matters. It's not something we can just scrap. I know Seymour was saying that, but in some ways I get what he's saying. Who cares about the regular season? It's the postseason that matters. And the finals MVP in some ways should be weighed more heavy with importance than the season MVP. And I can get that kind of line of thinking because that's the MVP that took it home and got the chip. And yeah, I'm with that. Paul B saying just win. That's all we need. A W. Yes, Paul B holding it down in Milwaukee. I mean, not in Milwaukee, in Wisconsin. I know maybe you're near Milwaukee. I think you said you're Oshkosh, somewhere around there. But you go, Paul B, and how your day's going and everything. I wish you the best, you and your family. All the best to you. All right, let's see if David's even more upset. In some ways, you're like Oscar the Grouch today, David. I want to see what's up. If Joel's best is rolling around, making stupid faces, and walking to half court every possession, then yeah, he's the MVP for sure. Yes, David. See, let's not put it on Fred and Nick. Go after Embiid. I know you love to go after Joel. So it's like, go after the enemies. There's no reason to get after our guys right now. Let's give them a chance to kick some ass and get back on the winning side of things. And no reason to go after Nick Nurse and Fred. Your venom is much better directed at Celtics and Sixers. And I love that. I love that you're coming after Joel now. And David's saying, my problem is the last 5 to 6 minutes of every fourth quarter is in each game in the last 45 games. That's the problem. Well, this is true. Like in some ways, Nick admitted that he's fucked up in not guiding them better in late game situations to wins. That he's like, yeah, I should put them more in a situation for them to succeed in some ways. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course, that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. And it has been really disappointing. The late game execution has been not very good. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want good late game execution, don't get mad at Fred because he's probably the best person on our team at late game executing in a lot of different ways. It's just that this year has been an off year for him for the most part, and that we haven't had the Fred that we had last year. that absolutely carried us home with huge clutch shots and making his will on the game determine that we got that W at the end of the game. You got to understand how much Fred was a big part of our success for our season last year, and that his injuries and his inability to shoot straight at times has really fucked us up in this area. That's why you should be rooting for Fred to do better, because once he gets his shot back online, he's more likely to help carry us home to the victories by hitting big clutch threes at the end of the game. So that's why we need Freddie to step back up and get going. Mike's saying off ball isn't correct to describe the true role they wanted Fred in. It was still offense selector, but less Fred drives. Switch that action with OG and Scotty, and we have Fred space the drive. So yeah, that's what Nick was alluding to. When the reporter said you had him in an off ball role earlier this season, he said I wouldn't describe it that way. And Mike is explaining what Nick means in his comment. Mike's saying, yeah, I butchered that Fred Dowtin comparison. You got the point, though. It's all good, Mike. It's all good. Just proofread, please. You can write so much, and I really do appreciate your contributions and your insight and stuff. I just want to make sure you're getting them across to me clearly. And once again, remember, I'm trying to be clear and concise. And if you don't write it clear and concise, then I sound bad because I'm reading what you're saying. Let's see. I understand that frustration and the drain it causes the stream. I'm seriously trying to reread. Okay, good. Good. No problem, man. I know you can't be perfect all the time. You're better than you were in the beginning. You're very much more clear. It's just sometimes there's a message that comes through where I'm just like, what is this? I'm an English major. In fact, one of the jobs I do that I'm really good at is editing. Like I proofread and edit a lot of stuff. So I'm really into like correct grammar and punctuation as far as writing. Maybe I don't say it the right way, but when I'm reading it, I really am into commas and complete sentences and stuff because it's kind of something I do. So when I see like really butchered like writing and stuff, it drives me nuts, partly because of one of my jobs. Just so you know. David's saying, honestly, I'm not even angry. I'm just frustrated. I love this team. Only reason why I watch basketball as much. I love the game. I just want to see my guys out of there, not this version of hopeless crap. Well, some of this is just like where you're framing your perspective from. It's not hopeless crap. There's so much brightness and good stuff we're working towards. Just like anything in our life, you got to go through the hard stuff and the difficult times, the negative times to get through and get that gold. It's like when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And that's what we got to do. We just got to get going, and then we'll get through this. And this is all a learning experience and good things for these guys, because you have to know the dark to know the light. And then knowing how bad it sucks to lose consistently and feel the way this year has gone, it gives you more impetus and want to never have it happen anymore. And that it feeds the desire to win and win and win and win, because you know the desire of losing, and or know the reality of losing. I shouldn't say desire of losing. You don't want to desire losing. But yeah, listen, don't describe this as hopeless crap. There's a lot of hope. It just may be in a different timeline than you think. It may not be this season. This season may be hopeless at this point. But let's not just worry about the season. Let's worry about the franchise and the future of it. And that is all very good and bright. Let's just put it that way. I don't care what people think. We're not a mediocre team. We're a mediocre team. We're not going to be that good. Why are we doing this? They're wrong. We're going to be very good. And Masai and Bobby know this. Nick knows this. The players know this. It's just that the fans don't believe it because the results are so bad right now. But they are going to be very good. Trust me. They will be. This core, these guys, they're going to get it together and figure it out. Cowboys saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Let's go. Game day. Raptors are going to be eating nuggets with the sweet and sour sauce. Just told the local mailman about your channel, spreading the love and positivity. Awesome, Bradley. Yeah. Welcome, mailman. I hope you enjoy my channel and you do subscribe. Thank you, Bradley, for putting me out there. You know what? You just brought up nuggets. So this makes me think it's time to do the real mascot matchup. Yeah, nuggets. Yeah, we remember what the nuggets were last time. Yeah, it was pretty gross. All right, well, this is what's going to happen this time on the real mascot matchup. Well, it's been a little while. Last time we saw them, it was last Friday for the game against the Lakers. Well, they're in a lake with the yak. and they're bathing the yak because it smelled. They were clipping its toenails, and they noticed that it really smelled bad. So they taken the yak to a public beach in the lake, and they're bathing the yak, Will the Wizard, and the raptor. They're, you know, Will the Wizard's a new companion, travel companion with the raptor, and they have a yak, and they're washing the yak in the water, and there's a lifeguard sitting on a lifeguard chair. His name is Ben Taylor, and he's not happy that the raptor and Will the Wizard are bathing a yak in his lake. And there's people swimming there. There's like families. There's like little kids in the water. There's people in the water and stuff, you know. And well, while they're bathing the yak maybe got a little like rub on the side. Nuggets. Yeah, they're happening again. And this is really bad because like it's water, and they, you know, you could worry about E. coli with feces in the water. But yeah, nuggets are appearing from the yak just like before. And they're going in the water, and Ben Taylor's having a cow. He's freaking out. He's like, don't give me this bullshit. He's like, we got to deal with this bullshit. You're getting mad at us? We're just saying we just got to deal with this bullshit. It's yak shit. And he's like, yeah, we don't. I heard you. Get out of here. Get out of the water with your yak, with the butt nugget, doo-doo nuggets coming out and poisoning the water and getting the water. It's like, so he's really mad. In fact, Ben Taylor's so angry, he's going to call the police. He's like, Officer Foster, yeah, I need you down at the public beach right now. These guys have a yak, and he's shitting all in the water, and it's really bad. You got to come and take care of this. So the lifeguard, Ben Taylor, has called Officer Scott Foster to come to the public beach and deal with the raptor and Will the Wizard and the yak, who's putting butt nuggets out in the water. Right? What's going to happen next time on the Real Mascot Matchup? What's going to happen when Officer Foster and lifeguard Ben Taylor come and deal with the raptor and this problem? It's funny. He said, we just got to deal with this bullshit. Oh, it all ties in. You know what I mean. If you know that, you understand it. Infamous is saying, morning, Tony Brothers is the ref. We're done. He's horrible. I know. I'm a little worried about it too, Infamous. It's really sketchy that we keep getting these high-profile personalities of NBA refs in our games recently. It's not good. I'd like to have more anonymous guys. I'd much rather be getting like a Goebel or a Tiven or, you know, any of these kind of types than a Brothers or a Malloy or a Foster. Yeah. Listen, I hope that Tony's coming to this game tonight with this mindset, Infamous. I really hope he's coming to this game. It's like, listen, the integrity of the game has been sullied by Fred VanVleet. But I understand why he's upset. And I want to prove to him that we are fair, the referees, and that we won't try and take over the game and be the star of the game, like he said, that we will try and do this the right way. I want to prove to Fred that I can be the right ref for him. In fact, I'm going to be watching for Fred talking to Tony Brothers tonight and seeing their body language and seeing how they're talking to each other, whether they're talking with respect in a quiet, respectful way, or there's a little bit of weirdness with Tony Brothers' and attitude towards our guys. Very much got to watch this kind of shit because of the whole stuff that happened last week with Scott Foster and Ben Taylor, that we need to watch relations with the refs on the court with our Raptors and see how they're interacting. Now, one of the best advices that's been going around Raptors Nation from people like Leo Routens, Jack Armstrong, other people, they're saying the Raptors just got to shut up and play. And they're right to a degree. In some ways, we got to just turn it all off, stop all the complaining. Scotty, I know that you're really big on getting on the refs all throughout the game, but you might need to cut that shit out just at least temporarily. Just because we need to kind of show that we're not going to be this kind of team, and that maybe we can get good faith with Tony Brothers and his crew tonight by not being pains in the ass. You know, like, let's be the good team that keeps our head down, does the work, and kicks ass, and not turning around and complaining every single call down the court. We know they're going to fuck us over. We know they're not going to give any free throws to Pascal. But we know this going in, and that just means we have to play around it and play that much better and just overcome it all. And one of the ways we can show growth is possibly like not getting so like complaining in the game. And I kind of agree with this, that in some ways we can get more favor with Tony Brothers, specifically if we're not complaining to him all the time. Trust me, he may respect us more if we do that. So Scotty, I know that honestly, I've seen you interact with Tony Brothers in a way that he's very positive, and I can tell he likes the cut of your jib, young man, that he knows you're a good young NBA player coming up. And in some ways, I think Tony does like you. So let's use these things to our advantage. Let's get Fred to be a diplomat and maybe establish right at the beginning, like, look, Tony, I respect you. You've been in this league for so long and stuff like that. I know you don't have a problem with me like Ben Taylor does. And I just want to like play a good game, have a good, solid game. And hopefully you can ref a good, solid game for us also. And boom, that's what I'm saying. We want to build that respect and touch on that respect at the beginning of the game between Fred and Tony. And then Scotty, maybe tone down like the complaining. Maybe not tonight. It's not a good night to do it. So we'll have to see. David's saying, well, maybe Scotty can charm him. He has in the past, once at least. Yeah, that's what I was just alluding to. I don't know if it's like Tony Brothers sees something about him. Maybe he reminds him of somebody that he really likes in his life, like a family member. Maybe it's just that, you know, he understands that this is a future superstar in the league and that he wants to start, you know, a relationship with him over time. I don't know how long Tony Brothers is going to ref or how long he's going to be around. But, you know, in some ways, he's a kind of a gatekeeper for allowing guys to get Golden Boy status. And in some ways, the fact that he's already kind of like treating Scotty a little bit like that already in his second year, that's a good sign. That's a good sign because I do think he does respect him to a degree. Shere Khan saying, since we don't have second round pick for 2023, we should just trade for Edey from whoever drafts him. I also have a feeling he may go undrafted, which is even better because we can just give him an Exhibit 10. He's not like prospect in the top 10 or something. To me, if he's like one of the best players in the college right now, he should be like a top 10 pick. This is crazy to me. Like, I don't totally get how they suss out talent. Like Kai Soto should have definitely got drafted last year, but he didn't. Like, why is Zach Edey not higher on draft boards? This sounds crazy to me, Shere Khan, because in some ways he seems like a slam dunk with just his dominance for Purdue this year. This is weird. This is weird. That's why I never get into this shit, because in some ways it doesn't make any fucking sense to me, the way they analyze or value draft prospects coming from college. Like the stuff that Jay Billis and Fran Fraschilla and all those guys do, I don't get it sometimes because so often they're so wrong. They really don't know what they're fucking talking about. I mean, these are the people that laughed when we called Pascal Siakam's name out at the draft. Oh, who's that? Oh, Pascal Siakam. Who's that person? I don't even know who he is. Who is he? Oh, I don't know, Jay. We'll have to go and look on the last page here. Siakam, who's that? You know, that's what I'm saying. So I don't know. That's weird. I would think Zach Edey would be drafted for sure. That's weird. If he doesn't get drafted, you damn right we better get him, like Ron Harper Jr. Let's see. Smooth is saying, better to keep Flynn and use him as part of a trade for the summer. I don't see him part of the rotation next year. Better to trade. Yeah. You know, in some ways, Flynn's value is okay right now. You know, his job last year, last summer, the stuff he did in Pro-Am last summer was really impressive. And he did do some things this season to show some merit and some skill and some usefulness for other teams in the league. And I think the Smooth's probably right. You keep him around and maybe we trade him out because he isn't necessary for our future, but he may still be a very good NBA player on another team. Watch, he'll go to Orlando and he'll start averaging like 15 points a game and get to play all the time, but they'll never win. And then certain Raptor fans will be like, we should have never let Malachi go. Look at him in Orlando Magic now. Look at what he's doing. Oh my gosh, why did we let him go? Can't keep everybody. Mike saying never tap out. Raps over everything. That's right. Never tap out. I'm like working out today. Working out. Getting stronger. Fiercey saying OG is well respected among his peers. I remember Tatum and Smart speaking highly of him. He should definitely be on the all NBA team. Well, all NBA defensive team. I don't know about all NBA team, but definitely on the defensive team. I agree, Fiercey. You know, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum know what OG can do. He's annoying, and they very much do respect him for sure. Kareem's here. Good to see Kareem Thomas. Let's see what he has to say. It's probably funny. I swear we better beat the McNuggets today. And Pascal needs to change the stupid swirl back to a spin. He's been off his rocker of late. You know, I was thinking about this, Kareem. It's like, what if the Siakam McSwirl is having an impact on Siakam right now? That maybe it's like this whole idea of like everybody's going to get his McFlurry. And it's like maybe it's too big time for him. It's like, oh my gosh, now I have a McDonald's McFlurry and it's so much pressure and I can't handle this. Or like, I don't know, it's something weird about it. Like it is kind of weird that like the McFlurry that he has out right now has coincided with maybe a downplay in his game. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe we should all get more McFlurries, Siakam swirl McFlurries. And you're saying get rid of the swirl and go back to the spin? Maybe that's it. I don't know. Matt Devlin, change your call. Change your call back. Race mode's here. Good to see Edmund. Hopefully he's safe travels down in Florida still. This channel is the best thing that came out of this season. There's nothing like a tough season to see the true colors of so-called fans. How would you rate the Norm trade right now? I still think it was very fruitful and good. You know, at that point with the contract and the money that Norman was going to get, we didn't want to invest that much in that spot. And that we kind of downgraded our money lot in that spot. And we still got kind of comparable output in the player, which is very smart to me. It's kind of like you go, I've said this before, and I don't mean to dehumanize anybody or anything. It's very much like you don't actually own a car. You have a car on rental and you go and you turn the car in, you get a different model just for fun. Like I have a friend that leases cars. He doesn't own a car. And he likes to get a different car every once in a while because he just likes having a different look and a different feel. And he's not tied down to one car. This is very much the reason why he does this. Well, in some ways, this is kind of what we did. It's like we had the Norman vehicle and what he does for us. And there's some great synergy between him and Pascal and Fred, of course. But he was about to get a payday that may not fit in with our puzzle for our salary cap. And Gary was being a younger player. He's on a lower level of his salary. We could fit that in more better. And in some ways, Gary expanded his game so much defensively that it was huge and boom. So I don't mind this Norman trade because it had to happen at that time. We were very much coming down to this point in the road where Lowry and Powell's salaries were going to be a big problem for us going forward. And that we needed to make tough decisions. And I really, really trust in Masai that he gracefully made those decisions about Norman and Kyle in a proactive way that really benefited our team and kept us going in the right way. You talk about losing two championship players from our championship team in that kind of way, like of Lowry and of Powell, and what we got for them and how they did it was really smart and really ingenious. So I'm still really okay with that Norman trade. I think it was the right move, and I still feel like that. Even if we get Gary for what we got and we lose him this summer, it was still the right move in the best way. Now, think about it this way. We could turn around and do the same damn thing this summer that we did with Norman, with Gary. We could do a sign and trade. We could sign him and then turn around and trade him for somebody else that's a little bit like different. And maybe they're older and they're a little bit more vet and a little more established, but the money's right or something. I don't know. I'm totally with that. I appreciate your compliment, Edmund. Having you guys here for this channel has been a joy, and it is the best part of my day. A lot of it is being on the stream with you guys every day. I really do enjoy being here and talking to you guys. Yeah. We find out the real colors of people because, listen, this is not easy. It's real easy to be a casual and be like, yeah, I just don't want to watch this. Can I watch the Leafs more? When is Blue Jays going to start? There's a lot of different people thinking this right now. And the real ones stick to it, like us. You guys are still here with me on this stream. You must really like the Raptors because a lot of people decided they didn't even want to watch them anymore, like in December. You know, Carlos saying, I was mildly happy the first Denver game as the team raised their playing level, even with the loss. And then the Clippers and Lakers games, good starts, and then the bench droughts. Yeah, Carlo, listen, there's, like Nick said yesterday, there's so much to like in the effort and how well they're playing. You know, we showed that we're playing the #1 team in the West, and we were kicking their ass the whole entire game. It really did take a crooked ref absolutely stealing the game from us and handing it to Denver for them to beat us. They were not going to beat us on their own. That Scott Foster had to force that to happen that way. We were going to win that game, and we were this close to winning that game. It really was that ejection that destroyed our chances, and it really, you know, it was straight up the referee that decided it. And, you know, listen, even with the Clippers and the Lakers games, we had bright spots and good things happening, but there were too many periods where we were absolute dog shit and let the other team run rampant on their offense. And that is the biggest problem, is our defense has to be good enough, but like all the time, is top level, that's great. But as Nick said, it can't be below average. It has to be at least average, even in the low points. Because when they're below average, well, that's the door wide open. That's Austin Reeves going and dunking it. That's people just going right to the basket with no resistance for anybody on our team. And that is a big no-no and a big problem. And that we can't have any periods of time like that in the game. We got to clean that up, and that'll help. Mike's saying first half Fred VanVleet, then Precious second half were large reasons for the winning last year versus this year. Facts, Lex. I'm 99 percentile in math and sciences, but I'm first generation Canadian and Spanish was first. All right. Well, you go, Mike. I like hearing all that. Yeah, you know, Precious was a big contributor in our wins last year also. And in some ways, his disappearance and some of his struggles recently are troubling. But this is normal kind of up and downs for developing a young player. And we just got to be patient with him. He's going to come around. He's going to be much better today. Watch. I'm going to predict right now that Pascal and Precious and Gary, all three of them are going to have much better games tonight. I'm going to say that right now, that those three guys in particular are going to have huge games tonight. Wayne's saying, watch Thad's open gym. Very good. However, with Otto and Will Barton, we have productive, experienced players. Not that Thad isn't functional. We appreciate him extremely, but that's a spot we can use. Yeah. You know, he's been good for mentorship. In some ways, he's all right to hold that roster spot. Like if he's at the very end of the bench and he's just a break-in in case of emergency that you need a sound vet that's not going to fuck things up too bad. Now, he has looked really bad recently, and I'm worried about him dropping off with his level of play. But there are the ebbs and flows of being tired and different things that could contribute to it. And I'm sure he's very viable and useful in different ways still. But even if he never, ever plays for us for the rest of the season, in fact, I sometimes think that Nick's inserting him in the game just to help him with his career stats, as far as like he gets more games added to his career total games played. And it doesn't even totally matter if he plays or not. He may insert him for 4 minutes just for that reason, to help increase his number of games played over his whole entire career. So in some ways, he's valuable even if he doesn't play, because he's just a brain trust, a resource, and a person behind the scenes that really does help our guys as far as being a leader and a vet. So I like that part about him. In some ways, I don't want to play him that much at all, if at all. I really don't. I feel like we have much better people to put into the minutes than Thaddeus in some ways. So let's see. Mike's saying, explain the things I understand and I see has been an issue for me. My weakness, I'm trying to improve it here on my channel. Really learning a lot from you, Lex. Respect for helping me explain things. No problem, Mike. Listen, I learned so much from watching your pieces also. And some of the stuff that I learned from you is like really good, because in some ways, what you're doing is a service. It's like some of the stuff that you do takes a lot of research and digging around. And in some ways, you're putting it out there in a way that people can get it without having to do all that work. And that is very much a service and valuable. And that's part of the reason why I really love your channel is that, listen, this is researching and figuring out stuff and putting it out there in a way that people can digest it and understand it is a skill. And that is really your strength, bro, is you're really, really good at like understanding concepts about like the salary cap and the roster build and the structure of things with the front office. And you're able to explain it, and with your graphics and the stats and everything, it's so good, Mike. Just keep doing it, man. You are developing, as am I, and we're both getting better for different ways and different reasons and different things. And that's all good. We're all growing and developing at the same time. So it's like, I'm doing it too. So it's, you know, I appreciate that you appreciate any input that I give you, and much in the same either way. Like if there's stuff that I could do, you know, I don't mind getting, you know, notes or comment cards like a restaurant would. Wayne's saying, communicate, not complain. Make sure we finish on the play and then comment. Rarely just finish on the rim. The calls are not coming, and they won't when they complain. Just compete and finish. Yeah. Yeah. And then part of it is also, and this has been something that has plagued NBA teams for a long time is you turn around and complain too long, and the transition game is going ahead of you, and you fucking not gotten back, and the other team's got an easy score. Somebody described this on Twitter the other day, that it's important to get back on transition after makes or misses. It doesn't matter if you made it or missed it. You better get the fuck back down the court and get in your defensive mode and not be talking to Tony Brothers and complaining, or like turn to him when your guy is running down the court and making a layup. So that is one of our Achilles heels, is not good transition defense. And part of it may be because we are turning and complaining and distracted and trying to get calls and talking to them. We can't do that. Y'all need to be like the horse with the blinders and just keep going. Even if it's unfair, even if you're not getting the calls, trust in Nick that he'll politic on the sideline and try and get the whistle to turn in your favor a little bit more. But maybe you that are in the middle of it all, in the heat of the battle, you got to just keep battling. And instead of getting distracted and trying to get on the referee's cases. So, yeah, I'm really big on that. I think that's right. Communicate, not complain. That's a good distinction. It's like when you're like this and you're like this, Scotty, that's not as good. It's like maybe you just say to Tony Bros, hey, I know you missed that one, or don't say you missed that one. Hey, I know you got us there, but maybe you could help us out the other end too and give us some calls just like you called on us just now, or something like that. You say something like that. You say at that end, can we get a call too, or something like that? You know, that's all you have to say. You don't have to complain and say, why is that a foul? Oh, that's not a foul, or something like, no. Say something like, all right, well, if you're going to call it here, we'd love to get it at the other end too, is what they should say. Mike's saying they called the Siakam pick a reach, and he was a mid-second rounder, laughing my fucking ass off. Gave the refs a D grade. I got a clip of Masai explaining projecting it's the hardest thing to do in the NBA. Next drop. That's awesome. Yeah, that's funny. Mike's giving you specific details about when we did draft Siakam in the reaction. And there were guffaws, and they really didn't understand who he was. Well, the laughs on you guys, because look at who he is and what he's developed into and where we got him. Yeah, you guys didn't know who he was. Well, you know who he is now. Yes, you do. Monique is saying news and notes. Jack was in his annual St. Patrick's Day parade. Did you see the new video of Matt and Jack's F-150? Pretty cool. Yeah, they're driving an electric car or something like that. I really like that commercial with Jack and Matt driving the truck around together or something like that. Yeah, and I don't know if this is annual. I think this is the first time he's done this where he was like the parade marshal. He was in charge of the St. Patrick's Day parade, like the guy who was like, I'm the parade marshal, and I'm the dude who's saying let's parade. I don't know what that job does or whatever, but he was really excited about that. His family was really. I know he said his mother was really delighted and tickled green about him being the St. Patrick's Day parade marshal. So, good stuff for Jack Armstrong. He's been having a really cool year, whether it's been like you get what you deserve and what happened with that in last playoffs. But then he had his Christmas album and his show at the Danforth Music Hall. And now he's a St. Patrick's Day parade marshal. So you go, Jack Armstrong, always winning. We love you, Jack. Ron Jeremy. Yeah, David's saying Siakam was the 27th overall pick. Yeah, eat that, NBA. Yeah, you missed that one. Country Kong saying, logical Raptors freak, for what it matter, or logical Raptors fanatic, for what it's worth, I hate typing on YT screens, only 200 characters, and it's hard to proofread. I'm not an English major, but when it comes to the Raptors, I spell it out. Let's go, Raps. Country Kong, your stuff's always clear and good. And listen, I'm a little tough on Mike because in some ways, and it's like when you have somebody that you know has a lot of potential and you see a lot of promise in them, maybe you're a little tougher on them, just like they may be a little tougher on Scotty Barnes. So in some ways, like Mike is like my Scotty Barnes that I'm trying to coach here and get the best out of him. So, it's kind of like that. When you can see the great things from somebody, maybe you're a little tougher on that person in particular because you're kind of pushing them towards it. That's how I look at it with him. To a degree. Mike's saying, I heard Masai's first take on the Norm trade. He said it was about the youth and upside of Gary and the fact that he was a restricted free agent versus Norman being unrestricted free agent that next offseason. He also talked about him fitting the core. Yeah. I mean, it was a very smart move. I love that move, and I still like it. I mean, I miss Norman, and Norman will always be a special Raptor in our hearts for all kinds of reasons. He's the butt killer. And he's doing such great things for the Clippers now. Yeah, he's been hurt recently, but hopefully he's back soon. But yeah, You know, Gary was an upgrade to me in some ways, but in some ways, like not, I don't know how to say it. They're very equal in some ways. I don't want to like poo poo or like insult either one of them. They're just different players at different times in their career. But you know, the thing with Gary coming in didn't hurt us. It's kind of like in a way that year we replaced Lowry and Powell with Fred and Gary, and that what their roles kind of changed. And Fred took on more of Kyle's roles, obviously, the year after Lowry left. And Gary had to take over the stuff that Norman was doing. And that's why he had to get in the passing lanes and develop his steals and his defensive side, because that was a huge part of what Norman was doing to help us. And that we didn't want to miss that from Norman. So, Gary, you had to get in the passing lanes and get better with your hands and stealing the ball. And you've had a lot of success, and it's going to hopefully mean you get more money this summer because of that. Cowboys saying, for all the haters, one thing, after this game, everyone won't say anything about what we need a center after tonight's game. Yak and Koloko are going to do big things for the Raptors. Let's get that W. Also, Scary Gary. Yeah, I'm excited to see Christian hopefully get some NBA minutes tonight. I would like to see that. I think that with the bench, the way they performed on this road trip, I think Nick may be searching for answers. Anything goes. That's what he said yesterday. He said, I'm going to be trying anything just to try and get us right. So nothing's out of the question, is basically what he said. You can expect anything to happen, is basically what he's saying. Mike saying, David J. Billis said he thought Siakam was a mid-second round talent, and the Raptors reached hard with him. I know his draft spot if it came out like I didn't there. Country count, no doubt, character limit. Yeah, that's annoying about YouTube, but you guys would write an essay. If you get too many characters, you guys might write me books. And I don't know, they may be pretty good. Who knows? Yeah, it's all funny, this stuff with when we drafted Siakam, the reaction, and what's happened since. Carlos saying the Pensair channel, though, is pissing me off. Well, don't watch anymore, Carlo. It's just like, turn it off. No reason to waste your time with it. Just tell him and fuck off. Chriscom's here. Good to see the great Chriscom. Let's see what he's predicting for today. I'm running out of patience. What the fuck, these guys? I'm not sure why Pascal, OG, and Scotty aren't good enough on both sides of the ball. Time to step the hell up for the whole team. Yes, I agree with this. They all need to step up. They all need to play at an ultimate level. Play your ass off. Leave it all on the court, as somebody said earlier. We just want you to play your asses off. Win or lose, at least you'll know you did everything you could to try and do whatever you could in the game. And hopefully that will be more than enough to get the W. Yeah, Chriscom, I'm annoyed too. We've got a lot of good, talented players on this team. Our records should be better. They should be performing better. They should be having better things happening. And I am totally with you. We're going to get this right. And sometimes, I mean, I feel like Pascal's defense has been pretty bad recently, and I think it's his energy. You know, Scotty, if he could concentrate for the whole 100% of the game and not have like times where he kind of disappears or he doesn't seem like he's dialed into the game. And OG, I don't have any complaints about him right now. He's playing exceptionally well at both ends of the court, so I'm not worried about him. But yeah, Chriscom, I predict a good win tonight, and that we're going to beat the Nuggets and get some healing from that horrible travesty last week. Monique is saying, W stream always Lex. Let's keep climbing that ladder. All eyes on the refs. And Jamal hit first bench. Needs to wake up. Main game day tips, etc., etc. Toughness. Yes, 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 and yes. Yeah, we need to win. Continue to try and keep going up in the standings. We'll be watching you, Tony Brothers, and Gediminas, and Ashley Moyer-Gleich. And hopefully y'all will give us a fair shake. Tony Brothers rewards hard work and playing the right way. So let's play the right way, not complain too much, and hopefully he will favor us with the whistle. And then Jamal, yeah, maybe he's not playing today. We'll have to see. We'll be monitoring Jamal Murray's status for the game tonight because he is questionable. And, yeah, hit first. Come out there, not be flat. Establish something in the low post early and work your way out to the three-point shot. Get those shots early, easy, and then it'll be easier to ease into the game, break the seal, and get the lead first. Because having the lead first and keeping the lead and maybe keeping the lead for the whole entire game is a smart strategy. If we can get that lead to double digits and keep a double-digit lead, the refs can't fuck with us. We can win that game outright without any fuckery. So what we need to do is do that. Get that lead early and stay on top of it and keep it nice and big. because we don't want them coming back on us, and we don't want the refs doing something shady. And then the last one, bench needs to wake up. Hell yes, they do, Monique. Yes, they do. Get them some coffee, smack them around a little bit. I don't know. Set their feet on fire. Wake them up. Get them going. Yeah, that's right. Mike saying, Coach Lex. Yeah, and everyone said, yeah, let's go, Raptors. All right, let me finish up 2.5 hours. All right, just real quick recap. Denver's injuries are as so. Jamal Murray is questionable for tonight. Reggie Jackson is day-to-day also. So both the point guards for the Nuggets may not be available. Probably one of them will be there for sure. If not, both of them. I doubt both of them will be out. So I would say one of them will be there for sure. Maybe both of them are out. I doubt it, though. It'll probably more likely one of them. Colin Gillespie and Zeke Naji are also out. Dalano Banton is day-to-day also with his thumb. So we may not see him actually play in the game tonight. And that is the injuries for the game tonight. Our referees for tonight, as I said, Tony Brothers is the crew chief for our game tonight. It's disappointing that we have another big-name ref. They're very fishy that we keep getting them. So just play right. Don't complain, and let Tony take care of us by playing the right way and playing hard. He likes Scott Barnes. Hopefully he can show some favor towards him because he respects and likes Scotty. Gediminas is the second ref. He's not a bad guy. In fact, out of the three refs, he's the one that statistically favors the Raptors. The other two do not. Ashley Moyer-Gleich does not favor the Raptors. She is favoring the Nuggets statistically. So hopefully we can overcome that. Thanks for watching me today. Thanks for being the faithful. Thanks for being the real ones, the ones that have stuck through the thick and the thin with the Raptors this season. This is a huge accomplishment. Y'all, seriously, y'all are special because you're dedicated, and you also really, really do bleed that Raptor red in your blood and your veins. And listen, there's a lot of fans that say they're Raptor fans, and it feels real good to wear that championship shirt and that championship hat. But are you there through the thick and thin when they're down like they are now? If you're like us, you are. And I appreciate every one of y'all for being birds of a feather like me. Your passion is equal to mine. We all have a huge passion for this team, and that's what keeps us together and keeps us very much birds of a feather, is that we share that passion. I love that. Mike's saying from the Siakam interview, what I got from it, the slump he's in is about coming to grips with the season and how it's gone. And the place Siakam wanted this team to be at, it hurt the joy of things a bit for him. Well, part of the problem is that Siakam's very much tied up his identity with being a basketball player, and that he's very much either happy or not. And then in some ways, he's got to understand that he has to just love the game and the joy of playing, regardless of whether he's winning or losing. And that's what's settling him down. It's like, obviously, you're going to feel shitty when you lose a lot. But in some ways, he has to figure out a way to build space to separate the winning and the losing from his pure joy of the game. And that's what he was trying to describe yesterday, if not totally clearly, is that he needs to just keep his basic identity of what he is and how he feels about the game separate, regardless of winning and losing. And I know that's a weird way of kind of putting it, but that's how I think he's looking at it. Cool Cat saying Pascal and Fred are not accustomed to losing. It's not in their DNA. Winner mentality, so it's hard to process that the current team is not good enough to get it done. You know, it really is a weird thing. Like, I think that all NBA teams and different people in the NBA, the players, need to understand that they need to temper their expectations and understand that with the new rule changes, with the defense not being as strong and offenses being better, and also the parity in the league, is a lot of people are going to have to feel a little mid. There's not going to be a whole lot of teams that are absolutely just badass juggernauts at the top that are winning. It's very, very equal around. So everybody's mid in some ways, and they all have to kind of adjust and be ready for that. And in some ways, they really need to take it on a game-by-game basis and maybe stop looking at the overall record and the standings. At this point, it won't help us to look and see that we're 4 games under 500. It's much better to just look forward to the game tonight and say, this is an opportunity to get another win, and that's all that matters. We can get ahead of ourselves and get way down in the whole gravity of the whole situation when it's not fair. All that matters is tonight and winning the game tonight. And that's all they have to worry about. All right, y'all. As the siren takes me out, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And thanks for telling your mailman Bradley about the channel. Hopefully he subscribes and checks it out. If you're the mailman, send me a comment, man. All right. Yeah, Bradley saying, everyone have a great day. Everyone keep your heads up tonight. It's going to be beautiful. Stay true to your team. Everyone later, Lex and the Raptor Freaks. All right, you go, Bradley. Be safe out there. Ta-da. For all your home needs, they can help you out. Let's go.